Yeah, Dinko? No, you don't want to do the intro? He opened his mouth just as he wanted to, as if he was going to do the intro to our podcast. See you later, Yanko. Yeah, here we are in Yanko's abode.
Yeah, we are. It's super nice in the studio.
Yeah,
it's kind of sick.
And you're a recent entrance into the podcast world.
Yeah,
I knew he was going to have something. I knew he was going to have something.
We are in Serbia, so
yeah. When in Serbia?
When in Belgrade.
Drink as the Serbians do, I guess.
No,
you did.
No, I was just really
Cheers.
excited. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, we should have told Dinko that you don't shot it, but
yeah, as a 2-sipper.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it went down pretty smooth.
You can go your route as well. It's just less classy.
fucking doubted me, guys.
Yo,
oh my
I was
lord!
gonna say,
and he's done
eaten
snacks.
anything today, and here we go.
I'll tell you this though. Last time I tried to eat a sandwich on a podcast when I was having one of those really busy days, Yanko fucking laid into me.
Oh,
I was like, it was one of those days where I just had so many chores at the start of the day, and we got on, and I hadn't had time to eat, and I went to take a bite of a sandwich. He goes, "Can you not eat a fucking sandwich on the podcast?"
Sandwiches are generally a point of contention. Really.
Sure, true, but I guess also a charcuterie board would be as well, especially
dude. Look at this
crusty bread, metallic
butter,
silverware for the clanking. Kind of,
not butter. I guess is it kind of butter?
I think it's like milk that is like soured and skimmed and soured over a long period of time, and then it's whipped up into this delicious Serbian-ness that it is.
Yeah. Oh wait,
Jesus!
At the HLTV Awards, Yanko took us to a really nice restaurant too, and I think Serbian cuisine is up there with my favorites because it's just meat.
Oh, it's
lots of meat.
The food here is really, really good.
There's just so many different kinds of meat.
It's really good. I love the food here every time I've come to visit. So that's been fun. Oh, dodging the cables. Nice. There's 2. Oh, perfect 10. Nice landing. And as a as a talking counter classic as well, you'll notice no matter where in the world we are, even in Yanko's own apartment, he does not have a microphone stand.
Yes, of course. I will be holding. I just I'll be holding this mic until the end of time because I have the arm for it, so I don't have a stand. And before I had the screw was fucked up.
Yes,
so...
I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, I already said fuck 3 times in the first 10 minutes, so we'll get like 700 views, Jason. I'm sorry.
This is the swear jar that we're going to
You need to remind me beforehand. But yes, Kaimak, you pretty much nailed it, Jason. Like you let it and then you just get the top layer.
Yeah.
And then you leave it until it hardens a little bit, and you do that over the course of I don't know how many days until you.
It's a longer time than you'd expect.
And you have to throw salt on top until it hardens, and you get it, and salt again, and that's how you do it.
The only reason I know that is because you sent me that Instagram reel of the old Serbian lady making it.
That was very helpful for me as well to explain it in English.
Yeah.
You know? So, Dinko, don't be...
I'm going to actually eat.
Don't be shy.
Yanko, could you have your Wi-Fi information when you get a chance on WhatsApp or something?
If you click that,
yeah.
He has an Apple device. He should be able to just share it with you.
He doesn't have an Apple device.
I have an Apple device.
He does indeed. Yanko is part of
Never mind, I'll send it to you.
He says as he's on a MacBook.
Yeah, that's true.
Here you go. It's all lowercase. But yeah, you know, like this is the Serbian custom. The way you come into my house, there needs to be some rakia. There needs to be a little bit of things to nibble on. I always took you for a guy who loves meat.
Dinko, yes. In all shapes and sizes.
What's the name of your place? Netflix and chill?
Yes.
Of course.
I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything better at the time, so... That was before the baby and everything. I also want to point out
there was a different life, a different man setting up that network.
I was where Dinko is right now in life. You know, well, it was the bad old days. Well, the okay old days.
Dinko, for some self-promotion, you've just started a podcast. You're now a competitor.
Sure. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got more sponsorships than we do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't own the podcast. At least that's something, you guys have. I just kind of show up and do the thing.
There. Smart kid.
I have no ownership over it whatsoever. So, I don't think we can announce exactly. Well, I think it'll probably be Alpines. But yeah, we're running this podcast. It's by a sponsor. It's going to be Henry G and I doing it. It's going to be 1-2 episodes a month. We'll have a guest every single time. And obviously, if you guys...
Well, let's do this. Do you know when the first episode's coming out? Because you recorded it.
We recorded it last night. We sent the file. They have an editor and stuff that's going to do it. So I don't really know when they plan on promoting it.
Editor.
But,
they got an editor and everything,
we got shorts promotional people too. So yeah, it's kind of...
They got a whole social media
somehow,
team.
Yeah. But I realized how difficult it is to travel with all the podcast equipment. So yeah. I did bring the one mic they probably shouldn't have done.
It's fine. It's apparently working just fine.
Okay. All good. But yeah, it should come out pretty soon.
Fear not, Discord members. We'll get there one day too. You just need to believe this is only going to be in August, 3 years that we're doing it. Can you believe that, Jace?
Yeah, 3 years. It's
We've been
flown
doing
by.
this for 3
It's
years.
really
man.
just flown by.
And we've
Remember
made
when we didn't
very little. We've done very little in terms of upgrading the podcast in any way whatsoever.
Hey, we have video and timestamps now, so let's not beat ourselves up.
That's great. Imagine if we had like someone cutting shorts and
That's true.
an editor and 2 cameras.
Actually, this would be a good place to say we are looking for one of those. Maybe not super actively, but that is in the if any of you in the Discord are into that kind of a thing, hit us up.
Out on the internet. Yeah.
Have you been pretty AFK from everything, Yanko, of the scene so far? You've been just keeping tabs? What's the break been like?
Yeah, exactly that. Just been chilling. It's like, I can't remember the last time I had 2 months almost off, right? Because
probably like 2015.
After Dallas ended and until, Cologne comes along, it's almost 2 months. So that's been great. A couple months before that, had some extra work. So just being able to spend time with the family has been awesome. Kept tabs, on the changes, the major and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm really not, I mean, we do the podcast. That's enough for me in terms of being out there and having a way to still connect with the community and, tweet here and there. Bait people a little bit or something, I don't know, but I always feel like when you do get the chance to have some time off, like maximize it, and then once the season starts again and when you're at events then you're 100% committed to that. So that's how I've always gone about these things, you just sort of enjoy it while you can.
Just coast at 50% up until you really hit 100.
Well, 100% sounds so great in theory, but
you never want to go there.
Sounds lovely, but you just don't want to.
Actually,
Well, I think that's one of the great things about this job is the amount of free time that we have off. Like I was speaking last,
you especially,
especially me. Anytime there's a big tournament, generally, it's a great time to relax, kick back, and enjoy it as a fan.
Jason, oh wait, no.
Yeah, you can't help. You're just too useful, Jason.
Tell me, Dinko, did you go like to Austin, sort of hoping like someone gets a heart attack or someone doesn't get
much like the Rio Major, he was hired as the backup.
Yeah, I was there, but I was not participating.
Except he did not get hired and did not get paid.
Yeah, true. I didn't earn anything from that. Really, I got paid to be there. But Austin was it's a cool city. I just wanted to go and like hang out and see what the city looked like. So yeah, I went there. Hopefully, I'll cast a major there sometime. But
yeah, I mean,
a few years.
There's time. There's time. You're young.
Majors are known to be in repeat cities as well, so I'm sure we'll be right back in Austin next
time.
Majors are overrated anyway. Like, I mean, that format, man.
Yeah, it is true. It's kind of one of the worst.
Did you see that playoff bracket? Like, that's gross.
Yeah.
Like,
Kane is in the semifinals of a major.
Why would you even want to be in that
That's a Mickey
major?
Mouse tournament.
Yeah. Well, we're here in Serbia for a reason, Jason. We didn't just come to Yanko's place for dinner. Like, Payne,
although I won't lie,
he's still trying to host our podcast, man.
Yeah,
like,
he's trying to move on to the next topic. It's unbelievable. He's getting so big for his britches.
I think maybe it's because he just shot that glass of Rakia.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, guys have been known to do bolder things after that, right? So
yeah, you're right. Sorry,
I don't know.
Oh man. All right. So what is going on? Let's get the lay of the land here coming in, because as our somewhat host alluded to, we are here to cast the FISSURE event coming up.
Yes.
Which is kind of like one of those. I guess it's I don't really know. It's like the tier. I don't want to call it tier 2 event, but it is like the next section
like
of teams.
Everybody that needs to get a head start in the season have turned up. It's like there's
everyone
top 10
outside
team.
of the initial salvo of invites is
there's only one
here.
top 10 team. It's FURIA.
Did you guys by any chance?
That's a very loose top 10.
Yeah. Did you guys by any chance see? Because I don't, or maybe you follow this guy. I think it's his handle on Twitter is like Udnud something 22. The guy has 140 followers.
Okay.
Jason doesn't follow him and you don't follow him, Dinko. But
no,
he's one of those he's like Messioso, but unknown to the public, like he's deep into the VRS. It's the dishwasher.
Yeah.
He's deep into the VRS sort of matrix and what means what.
Oh, that's a terrible place to exist.
So
that's my nightmare.
He did a great thread on X. Maybe you can link it in the description. But he did a great, purely subjective sort of thread well, not purely subjective, I guess it's based off of numbers, but he gave percentages to the tournaments that are happening up until the major invite in terms of how much, in his view, they matter for teams accruing the points, and how much weight they carry in terms of getting points, right, for the major and to qualify for the major. So, for example, FISSURE, which is the first one of the season, he put it VRS impact for major invite at 85%. Cologne is 95%.
Wait, explain the percentages again really quick.
It's like in terms of from 0 to 100, how important this tournament is for you to get points for the major, right? Like the opportunity to get points.
Sure.
I'll tell you about.
Yeah. Is it done by each individual team then? Like, this event is really this important to this team, or is it just overall?
He explains a little bit in the description, like for which teams it matters more. But for example, I'll tell you for Cologne, since it's 95%. Cologne will distribute many points to many teams. Even if stage 1 is lowest event weight, it is still land wins for 12 out of the 16 teams, right? Because only 4 teams will go 0-2 and not get a land win. And those advancing will gain many points. Main stage and playoffs are, of course, huge points with max event weight and many land wins for many teams. Only slightly negative is that the VRS ranking will have decayed to about 75% by October. FISSURE, for example, he put it at 85%. He says, from pure VRS impact as a tournament, this format is very good with 27 matches for 16 teams. All matches have maximum event weight. With all the invite declines from top teams, this has become the best chance for the rest of the teams to secure early major qualification. A top 2 finish here is probably major secured for any team in the tournament. Only downside is by October 6th, VRS rating from this event will have decayed to about 66%. But especially for the ranking gained in bounty collected and opponent network, this is now the fucking details of the thing. This is more than made up by event weight of 1 compared to land wins, 1 at low event. Okay, this is a little bit.
Okay, well, here, because I think at this point, I would like to ask you, this gentleman's name is Odnod?
His
Odzod?
UDKNUD. But I think he's at Jesper Larsen 222.
Okay, well,
so I guess his name is.
I was just gonna say, how much stock can we put in this? Like, what's the guy's background here? We know he's a little bit of a mafioso kind of a nerd.
He's Danish.
He's Danish.
So I think we're good. I think we're fine. But I'll just say I'm not gonna go through every single tournament.
There's some shifty Danes out there in the world.
But for example, Blast Bounty VRS Impact 20%.
Oh sure. Well, because so much of it is online.
Because stage 1 is online and no prize pool.
Yeah.
In that, it is as bad VRS points as it gets. Still, it's worth the chance for the lower ranked teams due to the what if scenario. They almost won't lose points if beaten by a high ranked team, and should they upset a team, they will gain a lot. But the thing is, because it's LAN, only 4 teams will even win a game, and the most you can win is 3 LAN games. So not as much value for the lower tier teams, which is kind of crazy to me, because in a very messed up way, Blast becomes funnily more worth it for tier 1 teams to play, because there's less risk of them dropping a significant amount of points.
Sure.
And if you attend, this frequent flyer thing with Blast, if you attend a lot of them, then you will get money no matter how well you do.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. And a weird roundabout way of going at it is just I don't need to put anything into the game, so I can just go kind of see what happens at this event.
Yeah, I guess it's good to have it early in the season as well. It's just around the corner, that one in Malta. So
I don't know, but I imagine as a TO, that'd be something you'd want to change at some point.
You want
right?
every tournament to matter,
right? You'd want that to be you want the the initial stage to be really valuable.
Or do you just want the tier 1 teams to come and people are going to watch it anyway, right?
What we're talking about, both of their events are online up until the in Bounty it's 8 teams, but it's single limb. In Open it's 6 teams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are becoming Mickey Mouse tournaments. Who cares about online CS? The reason they're doing it is because there's so much travel. So now teams would have started declining it, but now they might say yes. The problem with Blast Open was there was too many days where teams didn't play. So it's a 2-week event.
Sure.
And there's too many days where you're just sitting around. I know teams complained about this, to Blast, and they felt it was ridiculous. And then on top of that, you had to travel mid-tournament from their studio in Copenhagen to
another location.
Now,
yeah, it was Lisbon last one. Yeah, London, I think.
So you would have to do the same from some studio to London as well, which is kind of messed up, right? So they were like, this is too much. traveling and sitting around, you know, for what the payoff is. So this way, they're sort of eliminating a lot of that.
Eliminating the headache from the teams that are going to be in the playoffs and.
Well, supposedly, but in theory, you know, it's also easier to get upset online.
I would say that's probably the place I'd want to take this. Shifting it away from the blast angle on the topic would be to the online Counter-Strike part. Did you see like all the stuff coming out from Ash and like the ends, the things that they've had over the years, like all these clips coming out of like tier 2 Counter-Strike players just very weird, suspicious decision-making inside the server, I guess, if we'll put it nicely. I don't want to just throw out that someone's definitely cheating, but some of those clips have been, very, very awkward to watch. And I guess, I don't know, at some point during my career, I think I was really naive in thinking that most Counter-Strike players like wouldn't cheat when you get to the competitive level because it's just like an insane thing to do. But now that the stakes are so high, now that there's so much to gain, like, yeah, these things are going to happen.
The problem is, Jason, that you think that because you came from a time where you played a lot of the games on LAN. So if you caught someone cheating, you'd break their fingers with us.
Well, I didn't grow up playing in Serbia, you psychopath.
You break their hand. But now that it's online, it's like the repercussions are not as severe.
Especially when you look at the teams and like all the evidence presented, and you have a critical thinking brain. You see people purposely not showing their reaction or their eyes or where they're looking, and like you add all that in the fact that you're not showing if they can look at the radar or not. Like, there's just so many weird clips.
But it scares me, right? Like that line of thinking is like, I don't know. If
you can get into like the tinfoil hat scenario.
Yeah,
but
I don't want to say it's like wrong, but I think if I allow myself to go down that road, I'm going to start seeing cheaters everywhere, and I would not want to go that road.
But I think it's definitely like reasonable to think it's prevalent in these like qualifiers for the open qualifiers.
Oh, absolutely.
And, like you see so many of them, but it's the sad part is when it's like tier 2 tournaments actually have implications for qualification to the biggest events in the world. Like that's the craziest thing.
I don't think it's even that. I think they just do it for the money to throw, right? So they would do it as an underdog. They would, you know, go win, but that would then raise their sort of ranking in the eyes of the odds guys or whoever. And then when their odds on them are shitty, like they would just not cheat and lose because they suck. But I don't know. I think this is unfortunately
it's a very dark perspective.
I think unfortunately this is one of those things where it's fine.
I'm good. Yep.
Where unfortunately we're just not there yet as a industry, as an ecosystem to affect that, right? Because what should happen is, I mean, there's money involved. There's everything should be the same as if you were match fixing in a sports game. Right? It should be a criminal offense. You should be able to be prosecuted for that and to go to jail if you're proven guilty in a way, right? Like these players would need to submit their photo IDs to the TO, right? Or something along those lines in terms of verifying their identity. So if there is foul play, then the TO can report them to the local authorities and say, we think this person is committing, well, I don't know what it is, fraud, I guess, or whatever the charge would be. And then it would be significant sort of consequences for that, and people would think twice before doing it. Like, what's the worst that can happen here? Oh yeah, they'll be banned from
playing, but you already make so much money that it's like you can get out.
These are like people who have no aspiration to go pro, right? Like they're just good enough to be at that level of play, to have their games featured on HLTV, and then they're going to throw for money.
And who is that Skins dude who would like fucking licked his dog's ass when he got caught and everything in the apology video?
Wow.
I have no idea what you're watching.
Okay. Well, this
is this still Counter-Strike, Jason?
No, it might just be a weird video I was watching.
It's a dream you had last
night? I really need to find this now. But no, it's like, to finish the story, I'll find it in a second. He's one of the guys who owned like the early like skin gambling websites and like got in a shit ton of trouble, but then like had made all of his millions and just like bolted. And it's like, you got in trouble. And you're going to get in trouble, but now you've left and you have your 20 millions of dollars.
A lot of the people that do this, like, you can grow up in like a country that's like cheaper cost of living. If you can start your life as like a young 20-year-old with like a lot of money in the bank, that's a great start. It's almost worth the sacrifice, like ruining your young reputation in the Counter-Strike scene to like set up yourself for life. You know, you have thousands of dollars in the bank to start rather than starting your life in debt. And if there's no like serious repercussions, because ESIC is the company that you have to rely on to enforce this shit, and it's not going to happen. So I think we don't have like a governing body to really scare anybody or deter anybody from doing it.
Why are you selling this to people out there?
Yeah, I know. I sadly am, because
sounds like you're like.
But that's what's happening.
Sounds like you're doing an ad on our podcast about like.
So hey guys, if you want, you can email.
He's really flexing, isn't he? His ability to sell here.
And I think ultimately it comes down to also the anti-cheat in some level. I don't know, I'm not going to pretend that I know much about it, but I think in theory, for the anti-cheat, the deeper it goes into your system, the better it is, right? Like the more access it gets to your system, the more successful it will be detecting cheats and banning cheaters. But obviously then you have this sort of thing is like, if you go deep enough into a person's system, there's a lot that you can change.
You can do, and
ECA one time.
Yeah.
I still think that was a genius idea for the age.
And you know,
poorly executed, maybe.
And people, you know, are reluctant to do. That's why why VAC isn't as effective, right? Because it doesn't.
Well, they've come out and said they don't want to do like kernel.
Exactly, right? Because that's a huge
invasion
liability potential for them.
When Riot introduced their kernel level anti-cheat, I think like if I remember correctly, there were a couple like there was stories of it like bricking people's stuff early on. But when they released that, I didn't play a Riot game for like a year and a half. Like it took me a long time to go back to a Riot game and be like, all right, I'll install the software. I'll do it. I'll sell my soul.
Company, buddy.
Yeah, I know. And cameras are owned by a Chinese company. They already got us. We're fine. Maybe.
We'll
allegedly.
See. But yeah, I think that there's a whole like question of like ethics, etc. But I think with the other thing is like there's match fixing and cheating are like two different conversations, because you have kernel level anti-cheat in Valorant, but then recently they just had that crazy outing of like how big the match fixing is in their tier 2 scene, and it's just like if there was a healthier tier 2 scene in that game, like then match fixing wouldn't be as enticing. But I think that's kind of where a lot of the problem lies too. It's like they don't have a lot of options, these tier 2 teams, to make it sustainable or healthy.
We're just not regulated enough.
Yeah, we're not.
It's as simple as that, right? Like there's very little consequence.
I don't like this talk, Yanko. I don't like this regulation talk.
American.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Scare me.
Yeah. Well, I wish we had amendments in Counter-Strike, Jason. I'm sure you do as well. But I think that's the problem. And until that changes, it's going to be very difficult to see some real change happen, right? Because every single TO is sponsored by a betting shop, pretty much, right? Some more shady than others, but a lot of our industry, unfortunately, revolves around not just sports betting, but gambling,
skin gambling, cases, loot skins, loot cases.
Unregulated skin gambling for me is a plague, because gambling is, for me, the most serious vice out there. And for, you know, a 13-year-old to be able to just connect his Steam account and be able to gamble away basically slots or roulette or whatever it is, that's crazy. Like, even if you are of age, like, it's very easy to become addicted to gambling, right? Like, there's very, very few, like the percentage is so small out of the people who gamble or bet that do it sensibly, that it's, you know, it's just ridiculous in a way. And as a young adult or a teenager, you're so much more prone to it, where, I don't know, for me, seeing also how many people in our scene actively sort of not supported, but promoted, I think it's crazy. I think people get so, you know, the community gives shit to people for so many different things, but somehow this is something that's universally accepted and no one talks about it. Like, that's crazy to me. And these are some big personalities too that don't need it. Like, you know, you're doing fine already. Like, you don't need this in your life right now, that, you know, you're struggling to make ends meet, which isn't an excuse in any way. But that's crazy to me. And that's why the amounts of money that
they're giving away,
that they're giving away, and that, you know, are just going through. I mean, it's crazy. You hear some people talking about like the skin market is like worth like a couple of billion now.
Yeah.
Like, are we? It's Counter-Strike. Like, what the hell's going on?
It's been that way for a while, though.
But it is the reality of things, and there's people out there who are just making a living off of trading on the Steam market, or, you know, on the skin market, and almost as if we're talking about the stock market, which is absolutely mental to think about. But that's the problem. It's very, very big. It's unregulated completely. And it's very difficult to regulate, even if you wanted to. Like, you know, you have cases in, I think, France. You need to show the percentage of each skin that you can get to people, or somewhere even the cases. You can't even open cases in some countries, right? Because they view it as gambling. But that's on a sort of country to country basis in a way. There's nothing that's industry wide and that could be implemented throughout. And Valve isn't really interested to do it because they made stupid amounts of money from it. And they're also getting away with a lot because it's kind of a bit of a gray area. And also they're a privately owned company. So makes it easier for them to tiptoe around these things. But
yeah. I'm gonna do a little. I want to shift before because we have a lot of cool roster changes that I know people want us to get to, and I want to talk about as well. But I want to do a little bit of housekeeping first with just some random bits and bobs, jumping around throughout things just to get your guys' thoughts and have some conversations about some of the more chill stuff before we go into the fun, hardcore roster changing. I guess one of them, if we want to start really, really easily, the ESL announcing that Katowice is going to be an arena event next year. Which is kind of, I guess, probably a surprise to a lot of people with the announcement earlier that they're going to Krakow and Katowice is kind of done and they were moving on from it, and now announcing that Katowice is still going to have an arena event. And I guess the easy way to point at that would be Pro League, I would imagine.
Yeah, me too. It's going to move to online.
And that's not me having inside information from ESL. It's me just assuming it would be Pro League.
That's the only other tournament available.
It's either that or it's just a smaller
new IEM event, right? Yeah.
Which doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's fine. It's fitting for a Pro League. I think obviously Cologne and Katowice were championship level events, but Cologne is like twice the size of Katowice almost. It's like much bigger. And I think the event warrants an upgrade in terms of the arena and moving to Krakow. And I think that's fine. But also for Katowice, it's been, we had a massive CS event there for so long that there's also people used to just going to this Spotlight to watch CS. Obviously, ESL has some of their studios there too, so it does make sense that for an event like Pro League, they'll be going back. I'm curious to see, it is smaller than Cologne. It's still pretty big though, all Spotlight. So whether that will be filled for
I think they just have to make
the
tickets cheaper. Like that's the thing they have to do. Because I was speaking to some Polish people last year, and they were saying that the tickets for Katowice were too expensive. They didn't feel like they was like warranted to go there. I would imagine moving it to Krakow, you're still going to be able to have like expensive tickets, but I think you have more of a draw for people from all over Europe to come to the city because it's easier to fly into Krakow. It's a good city to like hang out in. There's great restaurants, bars, so there's more to do in the city other than just the CS. Whereas you come to Katowice, it's very much just about the Counter-Strike. So I think if you make the tickets cheaper for Pro League, you're still going to be able to get all the local Polish people turning up for that event. I think if you love Counter-Strike, you're going to go to both.
And it's a nice, easy way to get Pro League. I know that's been one of the goals of ESL is to get, or EFG to get Pro League back into an arena.
Because the last one definitely felt like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ever since they've gone to Malta, like, I mean, you remember, like, Pro League was in like a big arena for the most part from like what season like 5 on essentially, and then like ever since we moved to Malta, it's been the smaller kind of crowds and the smaller kind of more chill vibes.
It did feel Pro League was fitting for like 4,000 or 5,000 people, kind of thing. But that was also back then. Now it could be even more. I mean, the teams that you have there are great, so that's what draws the crowd, right?
Yeah, and I'll be curious what Katowice brings in for that event versus an IEM Katowice, because you go from having the spectacle to now having to like drop down and build this product back up in the location. But I imagine the Katowice people will be more than happy to show up for that one for sure. Let's see what other housekeeping was there.
So prepared.
I know.
You sounded so ready, like you.
I know. I did. I had like 3 of them. That's why. Oh, this is another one. PGL increases Astana 2076 prize pool to 1.6 million.
That's interesting because it's like more than the major, right? So it's like I thought that, or things that I heard is like TOs weren't really allowed to, or it was frowned upon to go above the major prize pool. But the fact that PGL have now done it and they have like a close relationship with Valve, that was interesting for me to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just also why in a way, right? Like, because that's what 350k more.
Well, VRS points, right?
No, yes, but 350k more, half of it goes to the teams as an entire prize pool. So let's say if you win first place, maybe that's like 20k more, maybe 30k more.
Sure.
Like, I wonder if this was what the teams maybe demanded from PGL, like the tier 1 teams to actually stop skipping their events, like this extra money is going to make the difference. Or did PGL do some calculations and figured, listen, we overlap. I mean, in 27, they overlap with Blast. In 26, some tournaments with ESL, some are like,
yeah,
close. But maybe they're thinking, okay, if we do this,
those events that we overlap, if we make the prize pool bigger,
yeah,
we'll be
it
able to
will be enough for us to draw teams
away
from the ESL event, or down the line the Blast event. They'll come and do our own. But it didn't feel like they had the best or up their prize pool already. This doesn't seem to me from the outside like this necessarily moves the needle, which is kind of crazy to say because it's an extra 350K. But this is the thing, it's 350K across the entire tournament and all 16 teams or 12 teams at the very least.
You were there in Astana. Did it feel like in the city, it brought everybody together? Like, did it feel like the city was taken over by CS, or did it feel just like there was an event happening?
I don't know. The city is huge. Right. It's like, the good old socialist sort of planned build and planned architecture and everything. It definitely was, pretty full in terms of attendance and people getting, and there was a lot of people outside the hotel and everywhere and sort of. So I don't know because the city, so I can't necessarily say that it took over the whole city, but I think the event was very well received. I think also the first, like every event, the longer it goes, the better it's gonna get, right? Like Dallas, when we went to that arena for the first time, second time, it was a little bit here and there, but now people are
slow to pick up. But
now people are so used to it. Like they see that it's coming back. They see that other people have had good experiences there. It's a nice viewing experience. They saw some of the crazy shit that happened in terms of the games and the winners and whatnot. And now it's pretty much full. I mean, it's full every time we go there. Right. And I think it's going to be the case for Astana too. I know they had some problems with, it's kind of hard to get to us. I mean, the flights are limited to Astana. Sure. So for people who, wanted to come in from elsewhere, or Russians, it was a bit more complicated than expected. So for next year already, they were in discussions of, for those dates, expanding the flights, maybe having a couple of charter flights or something for people, or organizing something along those lines.
The reason I ask is because maybe that's the reason why they got a little assistance from the government. Maybe it's so valuable to the city of Astana that the event was going on that you maybe get some subsidizing.
I think a lot of these events are, at least by the local government, they're held. Like, that's how the TOs pick where they go. Is and they pitch it, and if the local government wants to, or the city wants to chip in and give the arena for free or help in some way, that's where you end up.
It's usually with like hotel assistance of like costs of like hotel rooms, helping make sure like the cost stays down for that. Yeah, arena stuff, tax breaks to like running events and things like that, and regulatory kind of benefits also. Yeah, for me, it's kind of cool because I think like it almost says that PGL is almost like positioning themselves in a way where like, they have like probably the best. I don't know, depending on who you want to talk to, and most people would say from a Counter-Strike perspective, it's the best format, right? Like the Swiss
best of threes
all the way through. You have the third, fourth place decider. So now you add more money to it, and it almost is like PGL. Again, we always kind of describe on this podcast as like PGL's not trying to do anything crazy like run a circuit the way that ESL and Blast are trying to do. PGL is still like that old school esports grassroots TO that's like with $1.6 million. Shout out to grassroots
with all the money. Yeah.
But like they are kind of that TO that's just like, we're just putting on a Counter-Strike event. Here's the Counter-Strike. Come watch it.
I think every single tournament they've done this year has been really fun to watch, really fun to be a part of. I think they only have one event run by PGL themselves for the second half of the year. And maybe they'll do like CAC as like the third party, but they
usually white label the English broadcast for CAC.
Yeah, so you don't actually see a lot of PGL events for the rest of the year.
No, but next year there's 2 more than there was this year, 3 more than there was this year, something like that. It jumps up.
Something I feel bad about for them too is the fact that a lot of the plans have changed. The Belgrade event they wanted to do, that's not
that hurts for sure. And it's definitely
Argentina got revoked.
Definitely bad PR. That one felt like a weird situation when it was going down. That's like at the height of like the teams like staying away from the PGL events, which made it weird since the travel was like Katowice to Argentina in the back or something along those lines. But yeah, overall, I think the prize pool change is pretty cool. Just piggybacking right off of that into it, ESL adding third, fourth place deciders for their events starting from EPL 22 on. This one can be quick because I think we're all just going to say fucking sweet.
Yeah, better than, I mean, anything else that you needed to come up with, even though I don't think you necessarily have to with a best of 5 final. But sure, I want to see more of these though. to see how good they'll end up being, because they haven't been crazy yet.
I think the
but
best
only
one was like in
PGL has
Cluj, I think in February. That was Charlotte's phase one
Yeah.
was the only one that's like really stuck in my memory.
Because also, I mean, it's a little bit dangerous in terms of scheduling, because you could potentially have 8 maps of Counter-Strike in the arena, and you take in some of these arena, have a hard cutoff time depending on
Yeah.
where you are, and long days for some of the people involved, or players that play the final have to wait because the third place decided dragged on and their game ends up being super late. So I'm sure we'll have one in the next year and a half where we'll be like, wow, this maybe isn't such a great idea, right? But for the most part, should be fun.
Well, it's better if you're in show matches for sure, but yeah, like the fact that it could just take longer, that sucks. But I think the value of like a fan, you get more Counter-Strike in the arena too. Like if you're paying for the weekend tickets, they're actually pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So you get a weekend, you get another game.
Well, those were always conversations when we spoke with ESL about show matches and stuff. They'd be like, we have to find ways to give people more value for Sunday. They can't just show up and watch a best of 3 that can last 2.5 hours and then be like, all right, see ya. Like that. That's always been a conversation.
To get their money's worth in Australia. I mean, Chad resurrected.
Here's one as well, touching on some of the cheating stuff we talked about earlier. The ESL rulebook changes now for any online Counter-Strike that's within their circuit. Did you see some of these, the things that they've added into it? So integrity camera obligations, players may be required to provide a live camera feed showing their setup, including but not limited to monitor, keyboard, mouse, and surrounding area. And they reserve the right to provide specific requirements on a case-by-case basis. So ramping it up there. There's some regional eligibility and seating and invite stuff that we don't need to get into, but the big one is obviously that new requirement for online Counter-Strike that I think we've seen teams asking for a while now.
Well, the legit teams.
Yes,
I think it's good. Like this is what the TOs can do. They can make it stricter, right? And if you can't, if it's too expensive for you to buy a couple of webcams and set it all up, well, boo fucking who then? This isn't for you, right?
Get out of my game.
if that's the cut. And I know, and I say this as someone who, for me, when I started competing, that would have been tricky for our team to do, for example, right? It would have been expensive, but if we would have found a way if this is really the requirement and we really wanted to
succeed. You're competing for a chance to qualify to like a big tier 1 event or a smaller IEM event, you're going to go buy the
prize pool is $50K in this like CCT or something, right? You can earn a couple of thousand by being in the top 4, top 8, whatever it may be, right? So I like it. I think there should be more regulations like that to make it more difficult for people to cheat, right? And just raise sort of the bar for playing in some of these qualifiers and tier 2 events.
Yeah, webcams are not expensive, and I think the competitive integrity of a tournament is worth more to me than someone having extra $30 in their bank, So I think that's a great thing to have.
I think I'd have a hard time figuring out like how to position it there. Like, you'd have to buy the webcam, you'd have to buy like a tripod
but they're
behind
cheap
you,
too.
or you'd hang it off a string off the ceiling, or what are we working with here?
Pull a webcam and a tripod, you're good.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Fun stuff? Can we do the fun stuff now?
Yeah, Jason.
Let's get to the fun stuff. Yeah. That's my boy. That's why I picked him.
Yeah. You can see the influence of Jason Moses O'Toole on young Dinko.
Any stick out to either of you that you want to get started with? What's your favorite change? Your favorite change or non-change?
I don't know about the favorite. I mean, they're all...
Favorite to talk about.
Nothing is too crazy.
Actually, it was pretty chill.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the JL one is a little bit...
that's surprising, maybe.
Because he didn't get... he's sort of taking a break. And for me, it's a couple of things. First of all, it does take courage to sort of admit that you need a break and maybe you're not feeling it to compete at the moment, and then you see that there's other things that you perhaps might be doing in a way, and you don't want to just sit there and collect the paycheck or whatever it may be, right? Like, if you don't feel the drive to go at it every day, in practice and whatnot, like, it takes courage to say, okay, I'll remove myself in a way, I'll step aside until I'm ready again, until I feel that fire again to compete, and then I might come back to do it. Now, for me, as a ex-coach, the tricky part here is I feel like you can do this one time, like, because after that, you're sort of maybe questioning someone's commitment and like, oh, is he going to feel, down the line? Let's say JL comes back, in January, right? He signs for a team. It can be even a year. It's fine, you know. And he comes back and he plays, and then if after 2 years, you know, or a year and a half again, he's like, I feel like I need another break. Like, I'm not taking you seriously anymore for a tier 1 team. You know, it's fine that you have your way of doing things.
Yeah.
But if I can't count on you and you want to go back and forth between these things, like, you're not cut out to be a tier 1 player. At that point, you're, you know, mythic and what, yeah.
Apply that logic to simple.
Yeah, it's the same. That's why when we, I mean, but that's why
But
when
that's
we,
why people aren't taking
that's
him
why when we talked about it on the previous episode, I said what he should do is now grind until the next break and just show to everyone that he's serious about it, right?
Right.
And it's the same reason why when we talked about Device after the Shanghai major RMR, you know, Chad said he should retire, right? Like, and then it's very hard for his teammates to sort of have faith in him. Everything understood, you know, the health issues, but it's just this industry, you need to be available to play. I mean, actually, any competition, you need to be available to play. So it is interesting, really, in JL's situation because he had an amazing year last year. He was a freaking major MVP, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and 5th best player in the world.
Part of the number 1 team of the year.
Incredibly impactful rifle, right? And obviously, it wasn't the same this year. Now he's sort of starting to take a break. So I hope he comes back so we could see, in a way, was it just like a one-off year, or does he still sort of have it? And it was just the way things were going on in NaVi this year that they just couldn't, you know, get over that hump, break through that glass ceiling to be a contender again.
I think it's interesting with the amount of different mentalities you can have in the scene. Like, I could never imagine Nico, for example, taking a break and being like, yeah, I need to go live life. I just know that he's never going to feel that way. Like, he just has to win. And, like, he's always have to chase the goal of the major. But, you know, I can never imagine him going, I want to take a break for a year and, like, you know, do motocross. Like, I'm never imagining that. So it's a couple of different players have different mentalities.
Funny enough, he did that in like 2013 or something. He took like, you know, we were saying, oh, do you want to continue with this team or not? Him and Emmy said, you know, they're going to take a break. So he didn't play for like
he mentioned it during the podcast. He like took some time
that's when
off.
he got really good at pool. And then his dad
said, "Get the fuck back on the server."
You know, and then he got back.
You know, I actually really like this move for JL. I think it's really smart from his perspective. I think it's a bummer for us because I think actually JL's one of the more, as you said, one of the more exciting players we had last year for sure. And if he could ever recapture that, and obviously whatever he does individually inside the server, a great personality to have just in terms of being in the scene. But I know after they won the major, I interviewed him at the start of the next Pro League season that came up, and like one of the questions, I interviewed him for HLTV, and one of the questions was like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And he basically just said, and I was shocked by this. He was like, "I want to be a content creator. I want to be like a streamer. I just want to go into that kind of stuff." And for me, like this kind of moment for him seems like a perfect and a really intelligent moment for him to make this decision because on some level, esports as a career, as a professional player and competitor, doesn't necessarily have a long shelf life or like a long-term thing that you can rely on. But a lot of where people have made their success and their bones off of it is using esports as a growth to build their brand and then transition into the content creation. And it feels like a perfect moment for JL to do that.
Well, also, he just got married. I mean, I'm not going to say this job is hard, like, and this life is hard. It's not, but it has its challenges. And one of the challenges is like you're away for extended periods of time. You miss a lot of things back home, you know, especially if you're on a team, as Jason and I can testify, like even when you're home, you're working. So it's even worse. Like you're traveling and like you're away. And then when you're back, you still have 10-hour days. Longer if you're a coach, you know, practicing with the team, preparing and everything. So it's a grueling lifestyle in that sense. And you really have to want it to be able to do it on that sort of a scale. And for JL as a content creator, obviously can spend way more time at home with his family. He can set his own schedule to some extent because if you want to be a really good streamer, you have to stream regularly and have set times for so when people can expect you. But I can definitely understand why and I think honestly he's just doing this to sort of feel out how it's going to go for him as a content creator and also at the same time see if he's going to miss competing, right? Because it may very well happen that he streams and does YouTube and whatnot and he does pretty well for himself. But for example, he realizes he misses competing way too much, and then he still wants to go back to a team. Or if he doesn't, he's just like, well, I'll just, you know, do this. I'll just dig full time into being a content creator.
I think
that's going to be it.
It's respectable how big he's got his content while also being a top level pro. Like last year, he built his YouTube channel very quickly, and he does like content.
It helps when you win a major and you're the MVP.
True, but like he collabs very well with like the other big content creators. Like he was with Onipix, so he even moved into like the Valorant scene as well. He did some videos in that, so like he has a lot of great options, and we'll see.
He's a great personality. Yeah.
For me, it was always the great example very early on, because you were talking about, Jason, you know, players building their brands while they're playing, and you know, in that SK Luminosity team, like Taco was the biggest brand, had the biggest brand behind Fallen, right? But he was the, you know, worst player, quote unquote, on the team, right? But because he was the one putting the most effort into it after, obviously, Fallen still, right? And you had Coldzera, who was a back-to-back major MVP, the best player of the year, right? And I can understand that. He's a, you know, a purist. Like he just focuses on the game and plays like similar to Nico. Nico tried to, you know, he streamed here and there and vlogged for a little bit and did different things here and there.
It's a distraction from the
But it's always like, he always sees a little bit of a distraction, and he doesn't.
He's so good at his brand becomes the Counter-Strike.
I'm not gonna say he hates streaming. It just he doesn't want to and feels like he can't do it like regularly to be a streamer. And then once you don't do it for a while, you just sort of feel like
you fall. It's like going to the gym. You fall off the horse, and it's so hard to get started again.
So I'm sure he might even start streaming again here and there, right? But also when you look at, for example, their schedule, I mean, it's just travel nonstop, practicing boot camp,
Chinese show matches
that, you know,
we will all
your
go
vacation.
to, by the way. We will all go.
It was like, that's crazy. I think they're all blessing Kenny S.
Thank God for Kenny S and the Chinese contacts.
But I mean,
you got more in jail?
No, I mean, do you want to just tie it into
go on,
the NaVi thing then?
The Makazi?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about most of this in the last episode, so we don't have to go too deep into things.
Did you all talk about Broky?
No,
we didn't get to Broky,
I think that's
but take it away.
We talk about a JL break, you know, what it can be for him. Like, what can a short break like Broky do for him?
Broky didn't have a break.
He had a holiday.
He got a timeout from his team, you know? He got timed out.
Yeah, what the fuck was this?
I think it was just... I don't think it was necessarily just Broky and they wanted to get someone for Broky for those two events. I think it was also they looked who could they get in general in terms of players, right?
Yeah.
And then they saw that Simple was an option, and then when they looked, okay, maybe they could have, I don't know, maybe benched Rain for 2 events or something like that, or Elige if they were going for the vibes, but I doubt that.
You can't bench Elige 6 months after you pick him up.
I know. But that's why like performance-wise, it was Broky, right? So then you can also get Simple and the allure of for Karrigan, if I can like make it work, and Simple is proven, and you know it will be such a big deal, and people might be scared to play, and that was all sort of happening. It was getting there. I mean, it just. Unfortunately, they kind of fumbled. Mongol stepped up, and you know you could see them in the finals already. But I think it was a little bit of that too. Yeah, they just wanted to find a spark, and they're also hoping it was a teaching moment for Broky, sort of kicking the ass. Where
I don't know the details of it, but I guess with the way this is played out, the implication would be that like they dropped him because they felt like he wasn't doing enough to get his game back. You know, like, it feels weird in that sense.
I think it would be a good guess.
Because it felt permanent, right? When they said that he wasn't going to play. Like,
I mean, Karrigan's
I don't think
emotional
so. You don't think so?
I don't know. Like, Karrigan did a tweet saying, you know, this was the hardest decision. Like, it felt like that might have been.
Well, it felt like a very final decision.
I think it's because he benched them for the fucking major, right? It's not because he's gone. It's like, you're going to sit out this month. By the way, one of the events you're sitting out is the major.
Yeah.
But they did have to do something. I'm fully behind their decision.
Yeah.
And now you're just looking at him being back, and you're just hoping that it was enough for him to sort of step up and play better.
Yeah.
Because we've seen when FaZe won tournaments, Broky was MVP
Awesome.
or EVP,
Yeah.
right? Like he was definitely up there. They maybe won one tournament where he was like average,
Yeah.
if I had to guess, but usually he has to play well for them to be able to win, not just because he's the opper, but because he's that sort of an X factor, loose
Style
cannon
of opping, yeah.
type of a guy, right? And we saw it. I mean, it was painful. I don't know if you guys did this game, but the Bucharest semifinal against Falcons and that Mirage game, bro.
I think we did.
And the amount of missed shots, it's like
It was a lot, yeah.
It feels like very rarely you can put a loss on one player,
Sure.
but it felt like in that game, you could say just, if Broky just hit a couple of these sitters.
It's the hard part is like you can't put it on one player, but then like if one player has like 4 bad misses in the last 6 rounds, you're just like, yeah, it's kind of his fault.
You know it's bad when I'm like,
and I don't know if Broky was hitting on Shev's sister or something, but Shev was on this guy every round. Every round he was like, let's see like what Broky's gonna do this time.
There's definitely times where you're casting an operator that's having a really bad game. You have to like come up with a different way of saying they missed a shot. You realize it's bad when you realize you're repeating the lines.
No, but it's that's
off the rim.
Yeah, that's what makes Broky so much fun to like watch and cast is like when he makes moments happen and like does awesome shit, most of the time I'm like, this was an insane decision to make, and it's worked.
I never
so
expected
like
this.
when he makes the insane decisions and it doesn't work, it's easy to criticize. But in the back of my head, I'm like, you know, he doesn't get the other cool things going on. He doesn't have the impact that he has. He doesn't have the value that he has if he's not going for this. So that's what makes it fun to watch.
Yeah. Another conversation I had about this recently was the fact that there's like rumors that Simple's contract runs out in like 6 months.
Towards the end of the year,
you just wait to get him for free instead of like paying $1 million plus? Like,
I mean, I don't know how NaVi does business, but I would imagine the closer it gets to the buyout, the more willing they're gonna be to like get some money off of it. But if you're a team, yeah, I'm waiting.
No tier 1 team is picking up Simple unless he does what we talked about and grinds the game and shows that he wants to be a professional player again. You're not picking Simple up just because Simple's available and he's a free agent. If you're FaZe, if you're MATYS, if you're, you know, G2, right? Like, you're not going to do that.
This was my point pre-major, though, is you might do it if you hadn't already seen what you're going to get.
No, I don't think that's also fair because he hasn't been playing. And Simple was always a grinder. That's what made him the best. Simple, yes, he's talented, but what made him the best player in the world is he lived the game. Right? And on top of that, he has the balls of size of cannonballs, you know, like they drag around on the floor. He didn't care about it. Like he almost, I like this squad. I just finished the 4th season of the Bear.
Okay.
It was great. 3rd season was dog shit. 4th season I really liked. And there was a conversation about, you know, pressure, finishing something in time. And then one chef is talking to the other and saying, well, with pressure, it's 2 things at the start. Pressure is bad for you, right? Because it's that pressure sort of that makes you nervous, you know, and you're stressed about getting this thing done, right? And it's just hindering you, right? But then you get to a point where you're able to, because you've done it so many times, you're able to overcome it, and actually you welcome the pressure now. Now it's sort of a challenge. Now you thrive for it. Now it gets you excited. Like
and that's historically the FaZe way.
And now you can't live without this pressure, right? Like now you're sort of excited about being in that situation again where there is this pressure, because pressure means there's stakes, right? And that usually means big games, big arenas, important, whatnot. So I think that's exactly what sort of a great way to describe Simple playing is like he welcomed the pressure. Like that's what made him going, because he knew everyone else is going to play worse relatively and play more scared, if anything. And he's going to be able to punish people more because of that.
Do you think Broky gets it back?
Well, I look at one other Latvian who has had a short break and come back and be much better, and I think is Yekindar, right? Like he's gone off and had a couple of months after Liquid.
Oh, he is a great host. Look at that. That transition is unreal.
He looks healthier. He's like, I seen around the Dallas. He's so like high energy and happy, which I seen in the previous Dallas Liquid.
Is this Yekindar now?
Yeah, Yekindar.
Okay.
Like, so if he's able to come back and play well, I believe Broky has it in him to do the same.
No,
right?
I think there's a big distinction there, though. Yekindar had a change of environment.
No, that's true.
True.
And, you know, he went to FURIA and it's a lot different there. And Broky just came back to the same thing.
Yeah.
And also now it's like a lot of pressure on him because it's, well, okay, you got your spot back, but now you need to earn it, because we were obviously willing to bench you.
Yes.
And I think this season is make or break for Broky on FaZe Clan.
This season might be make or break for FaZe Clan in general. Like I don't know why, but I honestly like I feel like looking at this team and like trying to like kind of like game theory like their future. Like I'm looking at it and I'm like, I feel like FaZe is in some weird trouble of like, where do you go from here?
I know, but it's one of those that's difficult to break down. And like we talked about before, it's like if they can just get a good run at a turn, if they can just get a good win, get some of that confidence back, right? Like that's
yeah. But if you think of it this way: if you're FaZe right now, you have to be thinking at some point within the next 2 to 3 years, Kerrigan's probably retiring. Like it actually could be this year. Let's just say at the it could be end of 2025 to like 2027 or 8. Surely Kerrigan at that point is going to make the decision to retire at some point during that window.
That he wants to retire.
And if Kerrigan leaves that team, I don't know what keeps that team together. Like, that's not a team you're just going to go grab like a random IGL and be like, hey, good luck, man. Bring some structure into this. You're playing with 3 vets who are all used to a lot of individual freedom. Like, it's not going to be a fun ride when Kerrigan decides to step down from FaZe.
Well, also, excuse me.
Take your time, sweetheart.
Considering how FaZe handled their roster, letting Twists and Ropes walk for free, doesn't seem like they're thinking very much far ahead. Well, in terms of flying, you're hoping that they learn from that for the sake of the org long term and their position in Counter-Strike. But I mean, I was saying if they can just have a good run and get some confidence back. But man, now you look at what these other teams are doing. I mean, Vitality is Vitality. Falcons just added, you know, another prodigy. Spirit even made a change, albeit 6 months too late. You know, like all these other teams are, a lot of these other teams are making moves, trying to get better, and FaZe is sort of stagnating and you know, just hoping that it will click and it will work. And
do you think the simple move, if they did buy him, would have made them better?
Maybe long term, but all that depends on Simple.
If he was, you know, going to be serious about it, I think yes, absolutely. I think Simple. I think Simple grinding is absolutely a better player than Broky.
Okay, I'm kind of like in a way like tired of talking about the Simple thing, but I'll just do it. Like I think in this situation, like this is always the problem of the Simple scenario is like that we're even like asking that question and like realizing like, do you have the faith? Like, yes, I think Simple would have made FaZe better if he was grinding and in the mood and hardcore and like had a little bit more of a ramp up time into the major to get into things and get motivated. He says coming out of the major, I feel like everything he's kind of posted on social media and said makes it feel like he's getting back towards that sort of a mindset. But like, if you don't have the confidence in it, like, are you going to roll that dice? Are you going to take that risk? Yeah,
probably not, considering the cost. That's why I'm saying he had to has to prove it to everyone else. Really, I think just to end on Broky, I think unfortunately, I mean, as we talked about, it's hard for him in that FaZe lineup because you have Rain, Kerrigan, Elige, all are space takers. Like someone has to do more supporting, right? And that's going to be him. But I just think he hasn't evolved enough, you know, from his early years, right? He hasn't.
He evolved from his early years to a point and hit that like FaZe 2022, 2023 years that they had. And then I feel like from there it stagnated again. Like he had that success, got the major, got the Grand Slam, won all those things. CS2 comes out, Oppers have all had issues, and he's struggled to adapt.
Also, it kind of coincides with like the huge personal issues. Like, yeah, obviously moved country and like everything there too. Like there was a lot of things going on at that time.
Did he move country?
No, he says Elige.
Oh, Elige. Oh, okay,
yeah. But I think for Broky, it's a little bit just stylistically. He's good in the chaos. Everyone knows that, and that's great. But when the game slows down a little bit, and you just have to, you know, hit that one shot, get that one frag, that you're in good position for it, and just be more patient, move less, right? Like, because that's what people maybe don't understand as much. Let's say you're holding the site with Broky, and he's like sitting there and you have some sort of a setup, and then he decides to move. That fucks you up, who are like, you know, if let's say Rain is playing Shadow and on Mirage and Broky is holding, and now you have to move, and now he's like, well, now I have to worry about 2 things right now my position isn't as good anymore because it was based off of the setup or him flashing for me above so I can swing after I smoke the molly or something, whatever it may be, right? And that makes it a little bit frustrating to play sometimes, right? Because you don't see the reason for that movement, you know? And players Tier 1 players, they hate randomness.
Yes.
That's why they always hate online CS. That's why they hate best of ones. That's why they hate playing against tier 3 teams in majors. They hate randomness. So even if, let's say, he moves and it ends up working, but because it's random, they won't be like, great move, Broky. You know,
Well,
like that will still come up in water you and be like, I know it works here, but you don't need to, you shouldn't move here.
That's like the Top Gun, you never leave your wingman moment. If you're that other player, you're like, I know this worked out and I know he got a 3 kill and I'm going to tell him he did a great job, but I fucking hate that round.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. And
oh, fuck, I had something. It's gone. Top Gun ruined it. Top Gun ruined it.
You got distracted.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think...
oh, I have it. And it's for you, because you probably sense this as a play-by-play caster as well. This, like, I know like, a lot of my opinions right now are based off the feeling that I feel like a lot of, like, the way that Counter-Strike is being played has been changing over the past, like, 6 months, especially to a year. A lot, and when you talk about Broky being really good in Chaos, you've probably felt this. I feel like the chaos of rounds, like towards the end of CSGO and maybe early CS2, was in the style of the chaos comes like late, right? The rounds are slower, a little bit more methodical, a little bit more of a chess match, and then that final push and explosion and chaos as the clock is counting down. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, I feel like most of the chaos happens at the start of rounds. Like most of the chaos happens with an aggressive play in the first 30 seconds, or is like a team trying to hit like a contact play, like focusing on trading. I feel like so much more of the chaos occurs in like the first 30 seconds to a minute, where an opper isn't kind of in position to be as heavily involved in that chaos.
I think, I mean, traditionally you wait for like the big clutches, your big ramp, but now you have to like find there's different moments throughout the round where it's like it peaks and valleys, and like at the start of rounds, for sure has like become a big thing, like the opening kills, the opening move, because it could just affect the whole outcome of the round. But I think Broky was always a player you had to be just ready right at the end. You know? Like he's just gonna do something crazy, like 10 seconds left. You know, maybe he makes something happen, and you always had to be super focused, ready to go with him. But yeah, sadly a lot of that has kind of changed over the last few months.
Always go back to the Ends phase game in Dallas in 2023 and Ancient, and watch the overtimes and watch Broky at his finest.
At his best, at his peak.
He just comes in like it's Ancient every time. Like
came in like a wrecking ball.
I just remember like one round specifically, he comes in through CT, and it's like he's the only player left in the round for FaZe, and he just comes in through CT, and I just like somehow he's gonna do something here, and he just does. He like finds a way to win the round, and it's like he always that A bomb site with Broky, that was just the peak of his performances for sure.
From one Latvian to another, as you put it, Yeki he's
back
officially signed with FURIA, which I guess we all expected after the run he had at the major. So great job with the major, Yeki. That's a contract. That's a contract performance. Really well done. Shout out to our boy.
Really. I mean, I don't think anyone planned for it, but it worked out so well that they were like, we shouldn't.
Yes. We
shouldn't change a good thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And as we talked about, it made FURIA exciting for the first time in a long time. So we'll see now if they can sort of continue in a good way and keep improving on that. And we'll also see how will Fallen do in his kind of role, a bit longer term, right, as an anchor rifler and whatnot. But
he's done good so far.
It's definitely better than it was, which is, I feel like, the most important
thing.
Dude,
also, it's just like the other thing, this pair with Yekindar is just Molodoy. Like how I remember being in Bucharest and hearing that he had joined the team. It's like, what the hell are FURIA doing? Like, what have they done? There's this Brazilian team who just hired some complete unknown Kazakh Alper. This feels like just the most mental move. This feels like the Rainwaker to Liquid. Like it's not going to work.
Yeah, it did a little bit.
I was like, what are they doing? This is terrible. And then Yekindar next, like he's been really bad the last few months. Like what is FURIA doing? And somehow, some way, it actually looked better than I think anybody could have ever expected. And I think Yekindar, when you watch him play, when you see him in interviews, he has that like swagger back to him, which I think was really cool from VP days. Like he actually has confidence. And I think that break has probably like really helped him sort of recenter himself and come back. And obviously when you start so well in FURIA, that's only going to help your confidence, right? So I'm really happy to see Yekindar back. I think if he can just get to the level, even close to the level he was at before, like that, it's just really exciting.
I think too, what helped him a lot, obviously the break too, but like, you know, we've talked about players getting into that mode where they're like so clearly playing beneath their level on a consistent basis is like the sign that they're so in their own head.
Right.
I think what helped him a lot coming back out of this break was the fact that like part of his charge of being the stand-in was to be someone who kind of like held the hand of Molodoi. Like, hey, show him the ropes. You're going to be playing for a contract. It might not be with us. Maybe you impress another team, blah, blah, blah. Whatever happens, let's just find out. But for now, we want your main priority to be helping translate for Molodoi, helping communicate with him, helping getting ideas across, helping show him what he has to do to be a professional player, the jump up in the level of this game and this style and these tournaments. And I think that kind of allowed him to put a lot of his focus not on himself, you know, like he's not coming. If you come out of that break after having like an abysmal 6 months, you're like, oh fuck, if I don't play well in this like 2 month stretch or this little like temporary contract I have, I'm never getting on a team again, and you can very easily slip into your headset. So I think the fact that he was allowed to focus on Molodoi and kind of charged to focus on Molodoi to a certain extent, we'd have to talk to him, but I feel like that would be something that I feel like would ease his transition back into it.
Yeah, because more responsibilities like outside of just performing, but
responsibilities that aren't just yourself.
Yeah,
so even
yeah.
if you're having a bad game, you recognize your responsibility.
You provide value somewhere else. But I think the other exciting thing about Yekindar and Molodoi coming to FURIA is that we've always wanted Kesserado to play for an international team and stop wasting his career. And
we just never thought that international team would be FURIA.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of bringing him going to an international team, we bring an international team to Kesserado. And I think that's cool. Like, because now FURIA can go in another direction. They can just always be an international roster if they want. Like, have some Brazilian presence, sure, but you actually allow Kesserado to have some other players in the team. And I think we can maybe see the best out of him too eventually.
Yeah, it was also disappointing though that they lost at the major, kind of.
Well, and disappointing for Yekindar individually. That was a rolling back the months to where he was
Russell
not.
Westbrook, man. He's Russell Westbrook of CS. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, at FISSURE, they'll have a good opportunity to sort of...
Do you like that it turned long-term, though?
Yeah. I mean, for them, you don't see why not, right?
Yeah.
Like, he played across multiple events well. He played better more than he did poorly. And sure, sometimes when he does play poorly, his style is so aggressive, it puts you in a really bad spot. But that's also something that you can tweak a little bit as you go along, right? For someone like Fallen, being able to recognize, okay, when they're struggling, when they're not, how to approach it. And I don't think there's too much for FURIA to be honest, I'm hoping it's like a 2-year deal, not a 3-year deal.
Right.
Sure.
Because that makes sense, right? And you can always be flexible if necessary, really, in a way.
Can you imagine though, like, if you think about it, FURIA, when was the last time FURIA were exciting, or anybody was like even slightly or remotely excited about them coming to a tournament when they were a Brazilian team? And now we actually kind of
when they removed art.
Yeah, well,
at least from
personal perspective, personally for Yanks.
Why is that poor bastard taking straights?
At least for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Outside of your personal opinion, like, yeah, I think Yekindar and Molodoi coming in is actually like FURIA are a team you want to talk about coming into tournaments for the first time in a very long time. Like with the Brazilian team, it was like, yeah, they're coming to the tournament.
Yeah.
Like, who really cares?
What about G2?
Yeah, that was the next one I was going to get to. G2 bringing MATYS in, having some conversations with Fnatic over bringing him over, and it was just announced a couple days ago officially that he is joining the team.
It did feel like...
Oh, I guess paired into this, did we talk about in the last episode, snax being removed as IGL?
No, that's... No, yeah. Well, maybe...
I can't remember if that happened in the
we
last
discussed
episode.
the rumors of Hunter becoming the IGL and a little bit about that. But of course, I mean... The Polish fan base on Twitter is like, everyone is quoting this like G2's T-side win rate. It's like, I don't care about stats, man. I've watched them play. I've seen their T-side. I know how they would win rounds on T-side by, if something works, like their opening move in the first 30 seconds or whatever their plan A is, if that works, they can win the round. If not, they're pretty much screwed. There's almost no mid-rounding.
Yeah.
There's almost no adjustments that were made. It was mostly if the individuals can, find an opening, or let's say if they want to do on Dust2 T side, they want to do a B pop from the start, right? Like they go upper B and they don't get blocked and they're able to execute that plan as like, yeah, they can win the round there. But if they get blocked and now they have to reset completely, I mean, so many times you see them just fumbling around, like not unsure of where they want to go, what
losing
they want to do.
Losing a player in some stupid engagement.
When you see a team, right, want to do that on Dust2 and they get blocked and they just wait out the smokes for a minute and then execute on B, that's a terrible T-side team.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot do that in Tier 1 CS, right? because you're basically saying, screw it, let's just hope, like, let's just flip a coin and hope that they won't know that we're here. But if you're doing that, you're not putting any pressure on long, you're not taking cats, you're not doing anything. Like, some guy might go back and like smoke mid door, but I mean, all these teams or players are so good that they will know that this is just a smoke screen, no pun intended, right? Like, and you will most of the time have like either 3 guys waiting there for you, or, you know, you'll have some sort of a setup that will be able to break that. And for me, that's why I didn't think their T sides were particularly good. I will give it to him that, you know, having to play with first MATYS, who probably wanted to leave and maybe even knew he was leaving very early on, is not an ideal environment to play in. And then especially after, I mean, him and Taz both knew they were going to get replaced, or I assume he knew as well.
I assume they would have known going into the major.
Yeah, that's a very thankless situation to be in, especially because the team isn't that great to begin with, and you don't have a lot of chances to do something. But I think in general, this is why I tweeted, and they were still hating. Like, I think he was always meant to be just a temporary solution, you know, and it was up to Snax to sort of change that perspective. And if he performed admirably, G2 would not change. Like, you know, same thing with Yekindar. He
changed the conversation around himself.
Yes, exactly. And he earned a spot on the team and they signed him long term. Snax didn't do that. And you can argue about circumstances, whatnot. He just wasn't good enough, right? And for someone like G2, when you remove a coach, you bring in Saw, it makes sense to also remove Snax, right? And start fresh with a new duo with Saw and Hunter, and see if Hunter can be that guy for you, because if he can, then he can be that for the next 5 years. You know, and you're set in that position pretty much. If you kept Snax, then what? Like, he gets a season with Saw, and then you've just wasted a season for no reason whatsoever.
If you bring a new coach in, you have to make the decision that coach is going to get his way with the IGL he wants to work. I'm not saying that Saw would have said, I want Snax removed, but like, give your coach the freedom to have the guy he wants to work with, the other brain of the operation.
What do we think of the whole G2 team, though? Like, that's being built. Some PGL in the team, Saw as the coach, MATYS coming in. If MATYS doesn't have, I haven't seen a game from him recently, but if he's still using that mouse pad, I hope G2 put in the contract he has to play with a new one.
They probably have some sponsors who won't let that fly.
Yeah, but what if he's just shit without it? Like, what if he just needs his little comfort blanket?
I mean, I haven't, you know, done a lot of Fnatic games in the last year, it feels like.
Many people have.
Or even longer, right? So I'll have to do a little bit of research coming into Cologne about it, but he's been praised. I mean, you know, by people for his performance in that Fnatic team. Statistically, he's been doing well too, and it's one of those pickups for G2, which makes sense considering what they were saying about budget and whatnot, right? Like, that, I imagine, isn't super expensive in terms of salary. I don't know how much the buyout might have been, but now they have a team with really no clear superstar and no ego on the team, it feels like.
They've gone the reverse of what they used to be, where you used to have the superstars of Nico and MATYS powering you forward. Now it's kind of like, we have all potential players.
Which I think is kind of great for having Saw there, because that's what he had in ends. You know, and they were a system team in a way. They weren't reliant on individuals popping off. There wasn't a ton of freedom. It was a little bit more structured, and that's the same way they can play here, right? I'm not saying their players suck. I'm just saying there are guys who won't go out there and demand shit, right? If you tell Malbs, this is what I want you to do in this round, and you have maybe 2 options at this point, depending on what has happened in the round, up until then he's going to say, yeah, great, chief. I think if anything, he'll welcome it, because these guys are still not experienced enough. Like, you know, Malbs has been playing tier 1 for a year, really, out, you know, that M80 times so-and-so, but on a tier 1 org. So having that will make it easier, the same way it made it a little bit easier maybe for NaVi players last year to sort of thrive within the system instead of having to come up with stuff on the fly on their own.
I think with your G2 as well, like, the fact that you got Saw and some PGL, I think the more valuable one there is certainly Saw. Like, you bring
I think some PGL was sort of forced on them. By Heroic. I think that was like, we want Saw. Yeah, you're going to have to take some PGL.
Honestly, though, if you're G2, like, that's not the worst thing to have forced on you in a way, you know, like
maybe for one season it isn't at the very least.
Yeah, give it a go. I mean, he's very talented. Like, and so obviously knows how to get the best out of him. So I think
I felt like he was starting to get his game back a little bit towards the end. So.
I really liked Sampayas on ends.
I did too.
Because he was very...
In CSGO. No, you shouldn't say on ends. I really like Sampayas in CSGO.
Yeah, because he was very fun to watch. You know, he was a little bit like...
That new clip against Vitality and Cologne is like, ooh.
Yeah, but he was to me, because people say Sheer was like Device, he's not. But Sampayas was a little bit. Like, he wasn't incredibly flashy with his shots. He was just very consistent, accurate, and great at positioning himself.
Yeah.
And also was able to find tons of impact in games. I mean, I remember the Rio Major game against Vitality when he schooled ZywOo. Like, and a couple of times against Vitality and ZywOo, like, he was the better op. I think Cologne was one of them in the year where G2 beat them in the final. So you could see he can do it. I don't know if it's CS2 or if it's the different lineups that he's been a part of, but it feels like we're in CS2. This is going to be his best opportunity yet to sort of showcase what he's capable of and get back to that level. And if he can do that, it would mean tons to G2 being able to do something.
I actually think this team's kind of cool because I'm in that same kind of thought process. And the reason why I think it's kind of cool is this kind of like violates a lot of like the rules I have for myself when I analyze teams. It's like when I usually like talk about a team that's making roster changes, sometimes there's like teams that make these changes where the change is like contingent on an like if this player can find his old form. And I feel like that usually makes me nervous. And I feel like with G2, there's like 4 of those players. Maybe even 5 if you count MATYS with the fucking mouse pad. You know? But like there are like if I go down the list, it's like, okay, if Hunter can be an effective IGL. And then you go, if Mobs can find the next level, if Heavy God can find the next level, if Sampayas can find some of his old game back, if MATYS doesn't suck with a brand new mouse pad. You know, like, but like these if statements, I feel like with some of these players, I feel like I'm leaning towards the more positive side of them coming to fruition.
Here's the thing.
Like, I do think Mobs and Heavy God are going to be really strong players in the future.
I think the question is, where do you think their ceiling can be? And I think their ceiling is Mouse, right? Because for anything...
Okay, like not lifting too many trophies, top 3 team.
Yes, their ceiling is that they could become a contender. The problem is they don't have a ZywOo, they don't have a Rops, they don't have a m0NESY,
and that's
Nico,
where you'd hope you'd see the development from Mobs and a Heavy God.
Right, and that's the same thing that's the same problem Mouse has. And they even have guys who, at this point, have more experience in terms of exertion and Spinks have more experience than Mobs and Heavy God. Right?
Sure.
So they should be getting closer there, but perhaps their ceiling as individual players just isn't high enough, or they haven't reached their ceiling yet, right? But I think, honestly, if you told me this at the start of the year or, you know, before like this player break and the changes, I mean, you'd take that as a G2
I think so.
fan, right? Like,
well, maybe not if you had m0NESY on the team in January, but
yeah, I know, but it could also fail miserably in the sense of, because you're counting on your floor being really high, right? Like you're counting on Saw and Hunter being able to do a really good job and you having really good protocols and sort of not beating yourself, right? Like you win games by having a high floor, not necessarily a super high ceiling, but you're doing enough to beat these teams that have, you know, you can beat FaZe because they will have gaps in their game, even though they maybe have a higher ceiling. And the same with some of these other teams. That's going to be hard in this season, though, because you change your coach, IGL, Pauper, and a Rifler on top of that because of the role
Even
change.
For some reason, that doesn't bother me. I think I have so much respect for Saw. I think after last year with like snax as IGL, Taz's coach, I think Saw coming in, I think is going to provide a lot more comfort for some of these players.
Especially how quickly he got that heroic team going. Like with Youngstar coming in, Linus, like all these like rejects from their old teams, they got them rolling pretty quick. They were in finals of tier 2 tournaments. I think the other thing, Heavy God has never been in a functional team. Like Endpoint.
That's actually true.
He's been Endpoint into Cloud9, which was a shit show that lasted like a couple of months. Then he went into the G2 team. He was dead already, right?
He was in
OG, which dysfunctional as well. So like,
but yes.
I mean, he's never really been in a functional team, so I'm excited about that. Like him actually getting a real team of real players around him. Like, what is he going to be capable of? He's always looked good in those teams. Like, so I think that's exciting.
And MATYS doesn't even have to like blow the socks off of anybody. He can use that shitty mouse pad still. Like he doesn't have to worry about like being the impressive one. Like Malbs, Heavy Gods, and Pius are the guys who got to show up.
If anything, G2 will get a shit ton of content done with that.
Oh,
they're going to milk that baby until. You know,
just like he is with the
up to the last string.
As if he hasn't milked the mouse pad enough over the years.
God knows what he's done to that mouse pad over the years. But
we should do like a diagnostic test on it.
What about
Australia's favorite son has returned?
Oh yeah,
JKS has been signed by FlyQuest.
It's not quite Sponge going in coaching, but it's something.
We'll get there.
Well, you know, that's why we have Dinko here as a substitute for Chad. I mean, he's pretty much Chad, like
basically
a couple of years back. Just, you know, no professional background, doesn't have the hair, doesn't have the charisma really, you know, but
thank you.
But he's here, you know, he's available.
I live in Malta.
So, you live in Malta.
I literally live right beside him. So,
so thoughts, Dinko?
Well, thank you for the sell. I feel great about myself. Thoughts on JKS going to FlyQuest or what you just said? I think it's great. I think it's the best move Australia can make for making a competitive team.
Is it the best move JKS could have made?
Yes, because he could have went back to Liquid, I guess. You know, like maybe they could have given that option. But I think going to FlyQuest is the best option now for him. And I just think about like the player that FlyQuest are getting. If you think about the last time that JKS played on an Australian team versus who he is now, like he's gone out, he's won Katowice multiple times, he's won Cologne, he's been in all these international rosters, all these great IGLs. Like he's a lot of experience. He's bringing that back to Australia now, and I also think it's great for FlyQuest because they get to keep their players in Europe most of the time because JK has based himself out of there. You've got Regali on the team now, so the other players will have more of an impetus on them to like come and play in Europe, which is only going to improve them.
They're grinding right now. I got them in the boot camp.
You got them in the
they're in the Rush League team speak like every day.
Yeah.
Like 7 of the FlyQuest boys are in there grinding.
They're grinding, but yeah, I think JKS got paid a silly amount of money. I think that's why he's on FlyQuest. Because if you look at JKS, he always buys his time when he gets, you know, benched or whatever. I'm sure he got plenty of offers as soon as he was benched on G2. He didn't take them. I think he got offers, you know, when he got benched by Complexity back then, and then he stood in for FaZe and still bided his time, right? And the first wait resulted in him going to G2, where he won Katowice and Cologne, and they found a good amount of success. And then once he got benched by G2, he waited, and then he ended up on Liquid. Even though people, you know, threw his name in other teams that weren't up there, and, you know, Liquid pays really well. So I think it's fair to say he did well for himself waiting. And especially considering now it's the middle of the year, so it's not end of the year, and it's usually fewer changes happen now compared to in December/January. Like it had to have been a super lucrative offer for him to accept it immediately, right? To not at least wait another season or anything along those lines. And let's face it, G2 definitely, and Liquid, at least on paper, we're supposed to be contender teams, right? FlyQuest is not a contender team. Even with him being there, they're not a contender.
No, but surely you've got a positive feel about the team.
No, absolutely. Yeah. They're going to be better than they were. There's no doubt about that, but they're not going to be challenging for trophies.
Yeah.
And obviously JKS knows this going into the team, so, you know, it would be cool to hear from him some of the reasoning for making the decision this way. Was it some of the nostalgia and being part of an Australian team again? Does he feel that maybe he's getting up there in terms of his career, right? And that it's not possible for him to join a contender team and contribute?
You may not feel like you're getting too old, but I think if you're JKS and like you're sitting there and you're like, well, I fucking won Katowice as a stand-in for FaZe. I won Katowice and Cologne with G2. And like I'm still not like all that sought after, you know, like even when he's gone like free agent off some of these teams after some of these good wins, it's not like teams have been necessarily like the top teams haven't been clamoring to get him into the squad. So for him, I think it's almost got to be like, what the fuck? Like, what do I have to do for people to want me on their team, you know?
Yeah, there's a world in which is like his stock is a little lower because at least from all of his last teams, like FaZe, he won Katowice as a stand, and then G2 he won obviously the big tournaments. Liquid he didn't do, they didn't win anything. So he's not coming out of a team where he's still a champion, still a winner. So maybe the stock drops a little bit, and maybe didn't get a tantalizing offer. And FlyQuest are the best, but the other side of things is like who is he replacing on the team? And Liaz has been struggling big time, right? 1.93 rating,
shite.
Yeah, for a whole year.
Shite.
Yeah. Yeah, so JKS replacing Liaz this year was like
he was the MVP in terms of fucking giving interviews, though. Shout out to Liaz one.
Yeah, he's a legit interview. We could use him on the desk for sure.
Yeah. Well, we lost the magixx interviews. That's sad too.
It's true. We have lost the magic of the magixx interviews.
Now we've only got donk, yes, no's.
I think it's a cool time for this team because Netic was fucking incredible at the major. Netic was a monster. And like, here's the thing too. Like, this is like the weird. This is like the weird chemistry or whatever you want to call, like between like in these teams between like the eye test and statistical stuff is like you never know what like Vexite ends if they're gonna take a step up as well once you have a player like JKS who's coming in with experience that is gonna perform better in the role than other players. Like you never know how cleaning up that aspect of the team game is going to improve. Like maybe Vexite ends don't have like less stress about what the player in JKS's position is doing now. Maybe they get to focus more on their own thing and they step up a level as well. Now you have Netic who's looking like he can be a superstar. Like this team feels primed to take a next step. Not challenging for trophies, but a next step.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is the best team Australia has ever had.
Ooh, I wouldn't say that yet.
Who's better?
Well, I'm going to give some respect to my boy Kassad, even if you won't.
The Renegades win?
But those Renegades teams that made the runs deep into the majors, I think with those kind of results, you got to give this some time to see how it cooks.
Oh, I mean,
they made the semifinal of the major.
Yes, they had a good result here and there, but this is a better team.
I don't know that
on paper.
Well, it's 3 of them.
Okay, well now we're changing the game.
No, I mean I'm saying on paper they have the better pieces, they have the better players, they have more firepower. I think the problem is everyone around them.
Less Australians. That works. Yeah. Less Australians than
Oceania team, but yeah, I think for me it's the most firepower that they've had.
Yeah.
I mean, props to Kassad reaching semifinals with gratisfaction on the roster. I mean, that's straight up
hell of a mustache.
Magic. Voodoo shit.
Yeah, that actually is kind of. He did a great job with that. I'm always gonna hate him though for fucking up the Liquid job interview.
So many reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many reasons.
There's so many reasons to go down. We don't have to go down.
He's just rage baiting now. I don't even want to interact with him on Twitter because he's just rage baiting. He actually said that this G2 squad, this is the most firepower G2 has ever had in CS.
I saw that. I was very confused by that tweet.
Exactly, just rage baiting. He just like wants the interactions. I guess after everything that's happened, he just needs that X monetization as well. He started streaming too.
Is he streaming now as well?
On YouTube.
He's really milking it
on YouTube. YouTube's free.
Yeah. But tell me, Jason, about since you have so much experience, the new Liquid head coaching change. Did you see it even?
FLYQUEST.
Yes, I did.
We got FLYQUEST from NaVi.
I don't know a lot about FLYQUEST. I think anytime. I mean, I'll say this. Potentially a nice little piece of glazing onto Blade, but I feel like I have so much confidence in anyone who comes out of the tutelage of Blade, like working with Blade and seeing how he operates and runs a team. I think obviously someone who's going to have worked in that system underneath Blade as a head coach is going to be very detail oriented, is going to be looking for a lot of timings, a lot of details that a lot of coaches might miss and might not actually look into. I think the risk with it is going to be, as I've found out, and as you probably found out with MIBR, stepping into a team of this caliber as a first-time head coach is going to be a very difficult acclimating period.
Especially, this is something you guys can tell us more about, but it's the fact that, you're going into a team with big personalities. You've got to manage those. You've got people with a lot of thoughts on how to play the game. You've also been under Blade, sure, but that also means that you get respect just by being under him. The players are going to listen to you because he's telling you to. So, but you're going in, you have to take the head coach role. Do you think that's going to be difficult for him?
Absolutely. I think it's a great opportunity for flashie. I know flashie, we used to play against each other back in the day at the start of CSGO. Yes, the Hungarians used to come to Belgrade for LANs and and whatnot. And he's a great guy, and I don't doubt his, game knowledge. But it's what you guys said is the tricky part, right? I think it's a great opportunity for him. I don't think it's a good fit for Liquid, like in that sense. I mentioned Taz. I think it would have been in that sense, because that exactly is the issue with Liquid has been for the last 2 years and the last couple of lineups. It has been like the players have felt like too much power, too much say.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even mean like, oh, they get to decide. It's just like you let them give ideas too often, right? And add little things always. Like you say, oh yeah, but let's just change this flash and this small. Let's just do it like this way. And it's like, bro, how about you just shut the fuck up? Like, just do what I tell you. Like at some point, that's what you're thinking in your head. Obviously, you talk to the player like that.
You pretty it up a little bit.
But it's like, you don't need to change in everything, some detail. Like, it's not that big of a deal, Like, and sometimes it's not even about which is better. It's just about, just do what I tell you, just listen and let's do it. And you don't have to always chime in.
Yeah.
No matter who you are. I don't care if you're Fallen Cold or Nico or Twists. Just let's do it this way. Let's see how it goes. I'm sure you have your thoughts.
Yeah.
Some of these guys, they always have thoughts and opinions until it's fucking 11-11, right? And you're on a mixed buy, and you're on mixed buy, and they call a timeout, and they all look at you. It's like, oh yeah, so now
you need me.
Now you want to listen. Now you want me to give you like the answer somehow, and whatnot. So that's I think the thing that Liquid needs to address. And listen, I don't know flashie that well that I'm gonna sit here and say, oh, he doesn't have that. He might very well be a guy who's authoritative and commanding, and I'm sure I'm hoping that he's aware. I imagine that he's aware that that's the big challenge, not as much the CS in its own right. And hopefully he can prepare in a way for how to handle that. It's very difficult because when a guy who's, let's say, just for the sake of the conversation, Twists, who's won a major, 2 Grand Slams, so many tournaments, still young, incredible player, and now you disagree about something when you're going through theory or whatever. Like, how do like handling that and approaching that and sort of not giving in, but also not antagonizing the player and handling it in an elegant way, like that's really difficult.
Yeah.
Like coaches have lost jobs because not being able to do that in a
not being able to work with a star player.
Good way.
Yeah.
Teams have sort of not being able to do well because they weren't able to get around that and sort of create a good atmosphere and find a way to work together.
I think to the point of Taz, I would say if I look at it from Liquid's point of view, who probably feel most of the struggles this year the conversations have probably centered around Naf and his uncomfortability within his roles. I think if you're Liquid with that kind of perspective of having that role conversation be at the forefront, I feel like you'd probably want to go with a coach like flashie, which is going to feel like it's more tactical in nature and structure in nature coming out of NaVi versus Taz, who I'm sure could bring a lot of positive things to Liquid in different areas, but they probably feel like this area is like the highlight one they need to solve.
The other thing is, do you think the Liquid results recently have been enough to like humble the players into just fully submitting to a coach?
No.
No?
Very little can humble these players, Dinko.
It's a fair point.
And I think, listen, ultimately what matters the most, in a way, is knowledge, right? Like, you need to know what you're talking about with these players, because if you're trying, if you don't, and you're sort of trying to half bullshit your way through some of the things, not everything, but some of the things, like they'll see right through you.
Yeah.
Because they do know. The one thing they know is the game.
Yeah.
Right? And some have deficiencies in some areas, maybe the macro, maybe some of the other things, maybe some of the micro and utility, whatnot, peaking, moving, and all of that stuff. But they will be able to tell if you're bullshitting. So you need to be prepared, you need to be ready, you need to know what you're talking about, and you need to have answers when they ask you the questions like, okay, why are we doing this? You can't just say because, right? Like you're sort of, again, you're explaining it a little bit, but you also don't want to be explaining yourself to them all the time. You're just doing it in a way where they understand what the goal is behind this, why are you doing it, how are you going to play, and it's up to the organization to set it up in a way where that's where it ends.
Can we switch this conversation into the other side of the liquid coin of this offseason, which is the question after the major was, is NaV staying or going? And at least for the moment, he's staying. At least for the moment, they're going to stand pat with him and let him see if he can work himself back into recovery.
I think this is where the bias kicks in, you know, and we know NaV and he's like a great guy, but even outside of that, man, I feel like he's earned an extra season. I mean, this is the one season that he's been like really bad. Okay, like before maybe it's a struggle here and there, but even the first 2 events, he was fine, I think, of the year. Like in Katowice, he was fine. And the team was going through issues, changes, and you know, like there's a lot of stuff going on. And obviously only they can know exactly, and he knows like what the issues were. But I think unless you have someone ready that's like really good, I don't think you give up on him just like that. So
yeah, I think definitely give him another season because you're bringing in Shui hasn't even been there that long, so it's like a new in-game leader and a new coach too. So like, give them, see if it works under this coach and IGL combo. See if you can figure it out. See if you can get NaV back to where he is. If it has only been a short amount of time where he's been seeing negative performances, maybe a new coach, a new IGL can turn it around. Maybe he can get back to it.
It's got to be so frustrating for Liquid considering they just went through Yekindar having like a season of like mental issues where he couldn't find it back, and now you're going through the same thing with NaV. And it's as soon as you pick up Shuhei and have a new IGL and have like a new energy of like this is going to be the future, and then you're dealing with another player who has these mental. I'm with you, Yanko, because I'm just admittedly there is probably some bias in there because I always loved working with NaV and I think he's a great player. But I'm with you in that I think he deserves another, or he's earned another season to see if he can get things going. And look, maybe you find it out early in the season. Maybe like 2 months in, 2-3 events in, you're like, nope, we got to make this change right now.
Yeah,
you know, you might have different options,
which is a little bit tricky with the changes from Val and we're not going to get into it, definitely not now. But I think also for Liquid, they need to see like what works, what doesn't. Who do they keep? Can this work? As Dinko said, Shui has only been there for 2 months, and they did sign him long term now. So supposedly he's staying. So I guess now you're looking at, okay, this whole dynamic. Can we make this work with these guys? And if not, who do we remove? Right? Like who stands out? Not even that he's a bad player, but just isn't a good fit. And I think having a coach now, everything's set up. This season, it's going to be that for Liquid.
Well, the next conversation they need to have is not even necessarily fully focused on NaV and his kind of performance, but it goes to like what some of, even if you get past the struggles of NaV as an individual, the team has looked like they don't really have like a great organization of who's structurally going to be the guy making the plays all the time, taking the space all the time. Like those roles seem to overlap a little bit too, because like Nerds kind of likes to do it on some maps. Shuhei's an IGL who likes to get stuck into fights and takes some space as well. Twist is a guy who likes to go inside. So I mean, like you have some other things to work out, and maybe that is a world where after 2 or 3 months you say NaV's still struggling, and we feel like we need a player who can do something different in these scenarios, and there's some flexibility for you.
I think the other thing that makes me excited about him staying is the fact that Team Liquid are hardly a team that don't make changes. They've made every change you want them to make. Like it feels like they give in to what the community want a lot of the time. Like they've tried so many different things. They tried Rainwaker, Patsy. They brought in Katie, and they made all. I
don't think their fans wanted that. But
sure. But they want. That's a good point. But yeah, maybe the KDM one in particular. But like they make all the moves. They bring Twist back, and like I think they've been trigger happy on moves a lot of the time. And so why not try sticking it out for a little bit longer?
I think people are way too harsh in that whole Rainwaker Patsy era of Team Liquid.
Like, it was pretty bad.
No, I mean the team was bad. I'm not going to try and like argue that the team was better than the results showed. Like that team was shit. No, but I think that was like
better than the KDM ones for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. That's like one of those. It's one of those like hard things where if you take the perspective of the org, it was like a transitional period where like, yeah, that team sucked and it didn't go anywhere, and I guess technically quote unquote wasted a little bit of time, but it freed up so much money and contractual, like from their books, that they were able to actually go out and make the swing for Cadian and make the swing for the next lineup, which equally was terrible.
So well.
but remember when that happened, it was like, oh shit, this is sick. Like
that's what I mean. Like they've made all the moves you think should work, but it hasn't.
But this is my point about that particular. Thing is you don't get to make those moves if you don't free up like the cap space or the salary space by bringing in a Patsy and a Rainwaker and getting the lower tier players and having having the money to spend on the next
They
go
did kill
around.
Patsy and Rainmaker though. Like they were of the.
Yeah, but I mean, we're more concerned
Yeah,
about
no, of
Liquid
course.
right now. You know, like let's focus on the task at hand. It's Liquid we're talking about, not Patsy and Rainmaker. But I know what you mean.
That now, of course.
Also, last thing I'll say about this NAF situation is if Liquid can keep the Rainbow Six player that destroyed the Honda partnership, you can keep NAF for an extra season. You've kept the Rainbow Six player. He lost you a Honda deal. Like you keep NAF. That boy's done enough.
He's playing out his contract, man.
Yeah, he ain't lost you a sponsor yet.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Loyalty.
Do I need to turn on this light now, Jason? Is it too dark now?
I was thinking about that. It is, my face is a little bit shadowy. I have like the whole like Kylo Ren.
Ooh.
Oh my God,
better?
sweet Jesus.
Ooh.
Warning.
Is it better? It's better.
Smoking me
I
up.
don't know. Let me adjust.
It's better.
We've got a big one that we haven't touched on yet.
Yes.
And that'd be Spirit. Spirit signing Zwei, dropping magixx.
Well, Zwei was the bold prediction from Donk at the start of the year,
which should have been a warning sign to magixx.
Yeah. It's like, this is if we're not keeping Kasuke, then Zwei's next on the board.
I feel like the episode we did in like January, Jason, at some point, like we foreshadowed like this. You know, what's gonna happen is magixx stayed on the team because he had a great major final. And 6 months from now, they're going to replace him, and they're just going to waste a season in doing so.
Should have replaced him with Kasuke.
And what happened was they didn't just waste a season; they wasted a talent in Kyosuke, who then goes to Falcons. Meanwhile, I feel it seems to me that if they were going to promote him in January, he would have played for Spirit, because it's not necessarily that the roles were like the deciding factor and overlapping with Donk in some of them. It was that eventually there was Nico and Monesi on Falcons, and the allure of playing with them. Not only that, but I'm also sure getting paid by Falcons for a 18-year-old.
Yep.
You know, it's also pretty nice, and going to an international team definitely opens options for you in the long term. But I think surely in January, the best decision for him was to just join Spirit. And it was absolutely the best decision for Spirit. Like, anyone who's talking about roles and bullshit is like, you can make it work. There's a bunch of guys there who are 18, 19 years old. Like, these are not people who are been playing the game for 10 years and can't change anything, right?
Yeah,
like,
if you're getting hung up on the role side of the argument, like that's the smallest.
Falcons have the same problem,
right?
Like, they don't have a real, almost true anchor on the team, right? Like, but there's guys who worked into that role, like Tessus, like Kiksan, and you'll make it work, and you're doing it because you have so much firepower. And I think also the term firepower is misunderstood. It doesn't just mean players who have good mechanics, who shoot hard, or who move well. It also means guys who understand the game on a really high level individually and can be pretty self-sufficient in rounds, right? So you don't need to lay out everything for them in a round for them to know what to do. Is like, they know what's going out of play.
And your ability to win rounds off individual plays versus like a team idea.
What you need to do with a team like that is just give them tools, you know? Give the tools to the players to be able to showcase what they're capable of. Give them options in rounds so they're not stuck if things don't work out. And if, let's say, you know, maybe you're losing and it's a tight game and maybe they close up a little bit more, and you need to have something, right, where they're just not going to take as much initiative as they usually do. So I think that's why for Spirit, I mean, still, they had to make a change. They weren't really a contender, it doesn't feel like, you know?
This whole year is like it was a really weird vibe around them all year.
They won Bounty. They missed too many big tournaments.
Yeah, they're like the most hardcore. They're like the new Astralis that's really hardcore about scheduling.
Pro League, right?
Yeah.
They skipped Pro League. They had to skip Melbourne. They didn't want to. And they skipped Dallas.
Yeah.
Right? Which I don't care that they're ESL tournaments.
I think it's just because they're coming from Kazakhstan. They like skipped it,
It's the tournaments where Vitality is and where MATYS is and where later on Falcons were. So a lot of tournaments, they didn't play against these teams.
The top teams.
You know, and when they did, they lost. Like, they got beat by Vitality, they got beat by MATYS, they got beat by Falcons. So that's why for me, it's like, oh, I got so much shit. When I even tweeted like half jokingly, I know people are saying that it was about MATYS being MATYS the second best team of the season, you know, and I just said no. I just replied to the tweet saying no, and then everyone was like, "Wow, who is it?" And my thought was,
wait, who is it?
Falcons.
I mean, ultimately, you probably have to give it to MATYS, but who made it the most difficult for Vitality this season.
Sure.
It was Mongols, right? Well, it was, I mean, Falcons and Mongols a little bit, I guess. But in reality, Falcons, right? And it still doesn't matter because they didn't beat them and they failed miserably at the major. I think if Falcons makes the playoffs and maybe loses to, let's say, Vitality there and beat MATYS, I think you will have to put them at number 2, right? Because at that point, they beat MATYS in all the games that mattered. And
they won the same amount of trophies. They won like the PGL trophy in Bucharest.
Exactly. And the MATYS games with Vitality are not competitive. They just haven't been. These 7 games, none of them have been competitive. The best of 5 that went 3-2 was not competitive, guys.
Yeah, the map scores were busted.
Because it was 13-0, 13-7, 13-7. And the 2 maps MATYS won were both 13-11. Like, if they were not going to beat them there, like, it just wasn't going to happen. They got 3-0'd twice.
Yeah.
In Dallas and at Pro League.
Yeah.
Right?
The Dallas one was pretty dire.
Yeah, it was brutal.
They even won the first map in the semifinal, MATYS.
Yes.
You know? So even then, like, you sort of have...
Or won the second map, I think, wasn't it? I don't know. I know he's going. It doesn't matter.
Whatever. Yeah, the second map. They won Inferno. They smashed them on Inferno.
Yeah.
But whatever. So it's like, it's just clearly not going to happen. And that's, for me, the way I see it. The way I look at it, that's all it matters is when you talk about it, like, who can challenge the team that's the best, right? That's why I compared them to Liquid of 2018. Because Liquid was the second best team in the world. They just were never...
Could never
not close.
They were not close to beating Astralis ever.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the only thing that matters for these teams. You don't care that you've been second the whole time.
Second is the same as 7th to a player. Same as 13th, you know.
The thing with Spirit is, like, the other side of the coin of not upgrading into Kasuke is, like, everybody else did. Like, everybody else at the time made an upgrade to make their team better, and they just didn't. Like, you got Falcons upgrading, bringing Nico in. You had Vitality bringing Rops in. Everybody made moves. All the competitors made moves, and Spirit just stuck with the same team. It's all like they fell off.
Felt lazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the opposite of Vitality does. They're very proactive with their roster. You know, if there's an opportunity there, let's take it.
Drop to pre after a major win, you know, like to go for an upgrade.
And they felt like, oh, we won a tournament and we were in the final of the last 2. And it's like, well, why would we change? We just won the major, but...
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be, like, super critical of that. And I remember even in that episode you were talking about in January, I was even saying they should probably just drop magixx and get Kyosuke, even though he had that game, even though they won the major. But
it's one game. Like,
it is.
If he had a whole major he was owning and whatever, and then maybe you could see in the team,
but it's the
he
final.
made this switch, he's trying.
But it's easy to be like this from the outside. If you're inside that team and the GM, and you have all the players after that game, probably like saying we want to keep magixx. We want to,
and also, like, if you see Donk walking around, like, he's great. Like, you just see him with magixx all the time, and you see, like, his messages after, like, he got kicked from the team. He's, like, talking about how he's the best teammate he's played with in his short career and how happy he is with magixx. It's like, well, that's the most important thing, is you keep Donk happy in the team as well.
Maybe you get the vibe that he's like Rain, but just not good enough to keep his spot on the team. Like, from what you were saying, I got that sense from Donk's tweet too, but...
I know he's not a player that we can speak a whole lot of individually, unless either of you are going to surprise me. But Zwei, as the addition to this team in his place, seems solid.
He falls into the MATYS category for me. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research going into Cologne. But yeah, again, the same reasons. It feels like he was the next guy up from the CIS. That's a newer name, right? Obviously, you had guys like Perfecto lying around and whatnot. But
played a couple of anchor roles in his team too. So, like, kind of, you're not looking for a star player to come in. You're just looking for someone that does a really good job in that. And the fact that he gets good numbers and looks solid at a very young age. But the other thing is, like, I just look from a broadcast talent perspective. I'm like, who is going to do interviews now on this team? We're just going to get Donk, and we're going to get hopefully more Chopper. But I remember they were doing interviews, and I was talking to Hugo about this. It was like they went to interview Zwei's team, and they were like, you can interview anybody but Zwei. So now Spirit just got even more difficult on media day. So
perfect. No. I was hoping for that. That's actually what
another little upgrade.
I was really wanting that coming out of the Blade.
Music to my ears.
Let's say this too. I can't speak to his individual game. I've never really watched a POV of his, but he is another one of those guys who had an awesome major. He was really good for Namiga, and Namiga kind of showed between the previous Shanghai major and now they made great strides and improvements individually and as a team. I mean, I don't think you could ever argue that Zwei didn't deserve this. the last stuff that like really kind of interests me, unless I'm forgetting something that you guys might know of. I mean, there's complexity adding Mither as a coach. Don't need to talk about it too much. I would say for me, I would the next thing I'd want to talk about is just NA as a whole coming out of this break and this. Did any NA teams get better?
No, they all just got worse.
Like like what is it?
Carson, like so much worse.
Yeah, Carson an exotic picked up for is it NRG in place of OC? And
I think M80 got an upgrade maybe with Hex, but like everybody else kind of made really.
But you know what Hex is at this point. You know, like Hex has lost the benefit of the doubt in terms of potential. Like you know what Hex is going to get you, and it's not going to move the needle nearly as much as you want.
But like removing Stanislaw has to be the most mental decision. Like,
I mean,
that one's weird to me because I don't know what wildcards like really trying to like. They're like they kind of were like we've been talking about them as like an NA team, and that's all changing. I think even the guy they're looking at is a Polish opera now.
That has to be the coach. That has to be the coach. Like Vin's bringing.
Very possible, but like wildcard is no longer like an NA team, whereas Stanislaw and Shanghai bringing this team was like the NA hopes and dreams are behind. Even at this major was like another NA team eliminated. That's gone.
I don't know. I hope he does like a reflections with Thorin or something, Stan, because it's happened so many times to him. Like he joins the team, builds it up, and then gets removed.
And this time Daps didn't even do it.
Yeah, Daps wasn't even there this time around. Just differences of opinion and whatnot. It's crazy. I mean, we were talking about if, you know, Sentinels or MV want to get into CS. I mean, they should call him immediately and just...
Yeah, they should now.
You'd imagine they probably will, right? If like
Stan, Simple, and 3 more.
Yo, that's true. American money.
Sentinels?
American money could get Simple.
Sentinels would get in on that.
Look, we can have this conversation in this section because it is all about NA with Sentinels and Envy teasing an idea of getting into things. For fuck's sake, you two organizations not from Counter-Strike, don't come in and fucking blow up the salaries and disappear. Don't come up and build some bullshit and get out when it goes south. Be smart. Start from the bottom. Build up slowly.
Hire Jason as your consultant.
Hire me as your consultant.
And blow up his salary.
Pay him the stupid money.
Make him really the $1 million man.
Hire a Talking Counter as your consultants. You can sponsor the podcast and we'll give you free GMing advice, and we obviously know everything about what we're talking about. But yeah, I know like Hastro's kind of teased this a little bit. I saw him in Austin, and I know he's kind of got like he has like a certain level of like regret, I would say, over how like Envy kind of like managed their time in the Counter-Strike space and how they kind of left it and everything in the last rosters that they had. So I think he would have a good head about him. Sentinels would be one I'm scared about if they come in with kind of like swinging dick, like, you know, big, you know, NA org investment money. And
dude, yeah, I mean, Simple actually seems like a real possibility when you think of Sentinels.
No.
Imagine that.
I don't even think so. I don't believe that in a heartbeat. I don't believe that.
I'm in the Disneyland.
Sentinels would obviously be smart as fuck to take it if they could get him, but there's no reason for Simple to go there and start that. Simple is going to join a team where he can challenge for trophies pretty damn quick. But I think the opportunity for both of these teams, or both of these organizations, Envy relearning and Sentinels kind of learning, especially if they want to come in and be on the NA side of things, is you have a chance to come in with a really low investment and learn the space and understand the space and kind of grow and rise with it and not have to blow things up out of the gate.
Copy Heroic. Like, just look at what they're doing. And like,
they're picking up European players in Tier 2. The Tier 2 scene in North America, the Tier 1 scene in North America can't even really compete with the Tier 2 scene in Europe. So different situations. But again, you just have the opportunity to come in and be like, we don't have to pay insane salaries.
Yeah.
We can build a team and we can make moves and we don't have to spend a lot of money and we can kind of fly under the radar and figure things out. And then when we get to a point where we feel like this team is ramping up and we've got a right mixture of players and we've found some cool pieces and we're qualifying for some events and having some, then we can start ramping things up. But it's like a really safe time, I think, for organizations to come in and invest in the NA scene, because you also have Flom and Complexity and their project building a new tournament circuit in NA right now. You have the HLTV through Dust 2 building their own tournament circuit. You have Fragadelphia trying to build upon their circuit they already have running.
Yeah.
So you have some things in North America that are like budding and starting, like they've been planted and they're starting to show. And now we kind of have to be a little bit patient, but it's a good time if you're one of those orgs to get in now and be ready for the point when the scene is ready to take off down the road.
And another side of it is like a lot of the big problems in the North American scene came when Valorant came out, right? You see a lot of the top talent leave to go there for the big salaries. Now that the Tier 2 scene is not healthy over there, so it's like a lot of these North American players who are left over surely consider Counter-Strike as an option. So if you want to pay them lower salaries, switch game, you're going to be a long-term project, you're going to have definitely more players that are interested in Counter-Strike, they'll come back and get back into things.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. It's just, it feels like every time a new game comes out, it just draws so many of the player base,
especially in North America.
away. I mean, you can see from the players' impressions, the European players, when they were in Austin for the major, when it comes to FPL and just NA face it. I mean, the level is just the approach is a joke compared to what it is in Europe, right? Like, people are not serious enough. They fool around way too much, you know, and there's just a cultural problem in NA in that sense. Where
European players understand that Counter-Strike's a discipline. North American players hop on to frag.
Well, I think they understand if you want to be good at this game and if you want to go pro, what it actually takes. It takes a lot more than your aim. You know, and your individual mechanics to break through.
The other side of things I was thinking about is the VRS. The VRS system actually helps North America, because you think about these early lands in Europe. When Europe was a developing region, you got good teams going to Copenhagen Games, mixing with like these smaller teams. Philadelphia is going to start having good teams come to it now for VRS ranking points.
Yeah, tier 2 EU teams will probably make appearances at NA events.
So that's going to like set the level higher at these LAN events, going to inspire players, you would imagine, increase the level at these tournaments, get them more experience. And I think that healthier scene of these local North American LANs actually having good teams in them certainly are going to help elevate the grassroots level. Maybe we start seeing like some standout players that play at these tournaments and show up against a tier 2 European team, and you invest in that talent. Like, I think we're going to see that more in North America now, with VRS system kind of helping that grow.
Yeah. I think we can move to FISSURE now, Jason.
Yeah.
To sort of wrap
I'm not the host of the show. Dinko is.
All right, FISSURE, $1 million.
Take us in, baby. Go.
Only one top 10 team.
No
that's
analyst
FURIA.
desk.
No analyst desk.
Of course.
Yeah, that's very sad. But looking forward to it. You know, we've got a lot of money on the line, and as you were highlighting at the start of the show, Yanko, like, such an important event for like these teams when it comes to the VRS rankings for the major. They kick things off, and it's happening so quickly to start off the next season. So I think when you look at the teams in here, it's like Astralis are really exciting to me. Like, housekeeping coming in with the Astana run was really good. I personally am most excited about Astralis. Like, I feel like that's a team that I'm really looking forward to seeing what level they bring to the table. Because like,
I haven't heard that sentence in a while.
It's crazy. Hooksy has made me believe again, and I think that's gonna be fun.
No, I mean, I very much, I loved Hooksy joining Astralis, and I'm with you. That first event that he played with them, they made the finals, and I was like, cool, Astralis is now interesting again. But that was 3 months ago now. That was a long time ago.
They haven't played anything.
Yeah,
except for that
because they didn't have the majors. So like, that was the one.
Well, I'm just happy the organization is still here.
Jason, be ready to take a shot. But my favorite thing about this tournament is its format.
I fucking hate you.
GSL,
bro. Well, someone has finally brought back GSL groups, all best of threes, like. No,
it's gonna be fun for us with no analyst desk.
With 17, you know, games for everyone, 17 opportunities. It's just, you win 2 games, you're through. You lose 2 games, you're out. You get a nice, clean 8-team playoff bracket with 2 teams going through from each group, and I love it because the reason why we moved away from this is we had bad seeding at events, right? And majors were best of ones and randomizers, and the seeding wasn't good, so you would get like 3 top 5 teams in the group. You know, like at Cologne 2016 or 15.
Yeah, some of those were
Group D was crazy. So that was the big problem. Like, the format in itself is fine because you get a good mix of, you know, high team level teams and underdogs in the group, and it's also fairer for the underdog because, you know, sometimes you just need to beat one team that's above you to qualify for the playoffs, right? Like, people always focus on the favorites when it comes to the Swiss stage, but if you're an underdog, you need to win 3 games to make the playoffs, right? Especially if it's 3 best of threes. Like, I mean, that's a bit of a tall order, you know, for them. And I really I always felt like we were just overcomplicating formats, even what, you know, now, even the thing with 6 teams going to playoffs that ESL does at Kato and Cologne, and now Blast does for their opens too. It's like, I get it, but this way you get a nice 8-team playoffs. So I'm really curious to see.
Okay, so it's 4 groups of 4, 2 teams from each group go on.
Yes, and it's best of 3
best of 3 the whole way. All right,
over.
so let's break this down by groups. Let's just do the group stage, and we'll just break it down that way. Let's start with Group A: FURIA, Gamer Legion, Wildcard, SAW.
I think that's the easiest group. Like, surely it's just FURIA, Gamer Legion, because the other 2 teams, like, who SAW's 5th, who Wildcard, like, they've just made significant.
And SAW had just switched to being international and then switched back.
Yeah, they got rid of Siot and they got rid of Azuu, the British player.
Basically a brand new team.
Yeah,
I think for this tournament it's a little bit tricky because you don't have any of the favorites.
Yeah.
So the first seed in the group isn't like a massive favorite. It's still a better team than the rest of them. But you know, I don't think FURIA can lose to SAW, but they could lose to Gamer Legion, Wildcard. I'm not so sure. But for this one. Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about Gamer Legion's roster change, bringing in Kersey. Never heard of him. So we'll see.
But I trust Ash. So.
We'll see if he cooked or it's another Andu situation, you know.
I mean, I have a hard time seeing, I'm not going to predict it to happening, but there's a world in which this wildcard team could cause an upset over Gamer Legion. But I'm gonna go with FURIA, Gamer Legion as the 2 teams getting out of there.
Team, though, like...
Yeah, I just did, but I mean, like, I don't think Gamer Legion is some unbeatable entity. Yeah, they're gonna look a million times better, right? But like, you know, you still have J-Bon, this team. Okay, I went through that. I forgot the Fusi's con as well.
Right.
I might have taken it all back. Actually, that's the boy. That's one of the ones about the wildcard thing that like I think goes under the radar is like. Stanislaw was one thing because that's like the headline.
But who you replaced them with? Like,
but Fuzi leaving that team too was like Fuzi was sick.
Yeah,
Fuzi was sick. Okay, yeah, I take it back.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest group.
Gamer Legion, FURIA,
Gamer Legion. The other group is 3D-Max, Pain, Lim Vision, Rare Atom. You have the 2 Chinese teams. I think one of the standouts of the Austin Major was the Chinese teams. Like, I think we got to see their personalities.
Lim Vision can definitely be either one of the 3D-Max or Pain.
Exactly. So I think that's I don't know if Rare Atom will, but like those 3 teams, that's tough.
Also, Pain did make the semifinal, but again, they're not like. I can see them lose to any of these teams. Like Rare Atom can beat them as well.
And also, that was Pain's one bright spot of the season. They had all those roster issues.
But also,
leading into it.
Like that's the thing about Pain is I was talking about this yesterday. Is the fact that Pain, how many times did they get to play with their actual roster last season?
Well, that's why they actually
yeah, sure, but like visa issues or whatever, like going into Astana, they didn't even have their full roster for the whole event. So surely, you know, playing with their full team, we're going to see them play better.
Yeah, and it's kind of why to me, like they're one of the most interesting teams to watch. It's like, okay, was that for real, or are you guys just going to drop off a cliff? Like, you know, was this actually what you can do? Does that run to the semifinals give the players confidence to be able to repeat those kind of performances, or are you just going to disappear like the majority of teams who have those kind of one-off runs?
3D Max have a new coach as well, you know.
3D Max.
They have a new coach.
They're at another tournament.
You don't like 3D Max?
No.
Dude,
I don't hate them. It's just like they're one of those teams that just does enough at tournaments to keep the points and be in the invite bubble the whole time.
But make no significant improvement.
Yes, and then don't do anything significant, right? Like, and they're kind of uninteresting to watch.
I feel like I feel like there was a time when I felt like they were really interesting to watch, but I feel like they've become reliant on like cheese to win a lot of plays, like some crazy pushes, some like really risky kind of moves. We'll see. That's going to be a fun group to watch with Pain and 3D Max. I feel like that group is kind of wide open amongst those
Group
3
C
teams.
Is pretty interesting.
Virtus Pro, Astralis, Tyloo, MIBR for Group C.
MIBR also making a roster change. Lucalzi is going back to Fluxo, I think, getting that Nyx.
Yes,
Nyx, yeah.
Like that. So we'll see if that does anything. Perfecto back after a year on Virtus Pro. So on paper, Astralis and Virtus Pro are the favorites. I think Astralis makes it 100%, but Virtus Pro, you could see them lose too.
I could definitely see them lose. Yeah, I think
pretty much anybody
could go through.
But they also had a great run at the major up until they were like 2-0, right?
Yeah.
Well,
or 2-1.
How good's Perfecto going to be?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Has he been grinding? Has he been on that simple practice regime, or is he on like
grinding? But I don't think he's also completely left the game either.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's been playing.
Yeah, but that's interesting because he's not like he was never one of those players who was like pop off skill wise, right? He was really smart, cerebral, good positioning, and you lose that.
He was anchor of the year in 2022, right?
Yeah.
There were, the year simple.
So it'll be interesting. I think I'm with you. Virtus.pro should be a favorite, but I mean, I think they're ripe for an upset with Perfector coming back.
Going through that one.
Okay, you're going for the Chinese, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
They've been playing well. I've been liking what I see from Tyloo. I go Astralis, Tyloo.
Nobody for MIBR, huh?
No.
Well, them's the breaks.
Too many best of threes.
Group D, Heroic Complexity, Big Bet Boom.
Heroic, the Swedish Belarusian mix.
Yeah, it's a classic combination.
Griggs was on a lot of people's radars as the next. He's sort of in that Molodoi category as an up-and-coming CIS hopper. Probably has, I think, a little bit more experience or more games against the top 50 than Molodoi. Tanier still around. I think they would have lost him. I mean, but they needed to keep 3 players for the core. Otherwise, he would have been gone.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so, but they were already losing some Pius.
He's in the running for Rookie of the Year, Tanier. I saw that article on HLTV mentioning where everyone's at.
He's been great guy.
He was sick.
And I don't know, from speaking to some people in Heroic, they knew that he was going to be good. They just had no idea how good he was going to be. And it was such a lovely surprise to get Tanier into the team and him perform as well as he did. And I think bringing in someone from his own country as well is going to really help with sort of getting extra comfortable in this team. He wanted to play with Grix, you bring him into the team. I think it just makes them just better overall. I think you're going to get the most out of Tanier.
Nilo's back. After a season on the bench.
What happened with him?
No
one knows. It's the enigma.
It's so weird. They signed him and then he couldn't play for personal reasons. So they signed him and benched him.
Yeah.
He was on the bench.
And then they brought him back.
Sick.
Cool. Smart play.
But let's see. I think Heroic, it's unpredictable, this group too. Heroic is the top seed. Bet Boom is the lowest seed. I can see Bet Boom beating Heroic.
I can see Bet Boom going through in the second. Yeah, for sure.
In the opening game. So this one is the wild card, big.
Did you see the fucking Complexity video of them being hard at work in the boot camp, and it was all the Complexity players watching the case opening stream together,
really?
All 4 of them? And I was like, please, boys, don't make jokes.
You need to perform.
You're not there yet.
We can't make these jokes. We don't have the social credibility in this industry to make those jokes out of this region.
Big got an early start to the season. They were just playing ISF, so they have been at a LAN already, so they're coming in a little bit warmed up.
Who's the talent in the second half of the year who's going to get big on big?
Not me.
There's always one.
Definitely not me.
There's always one who gets pumped over big for some reason.
Nope, not this time.
All right.
They haven't made any changes.
We're all safe.
Yeah.
No, I'm not excited about big and won't be probably for a while. I don't know. Did they change their coach again?
They got Skrunk.
Yes. So let's see if that moves the needle for them.
Who's Bet Boom getting as their 5th? Do we know yet?
Wasn't it Artfrost for Zorti?
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Okay, he's just not on there yet.
Dude,
he's on loan. It's not an official.
That's an underrated move. I think Artfrost is really good. I mean, he probably would have stayed in Spirit if they didn't get that crazy Shiro move coming out of left field. So I think he's been solid.
He was doing well up until Shiro became on.
Yeah. My only issue with this team is this I don't even know what to call it. Almost like fucking Exile having a fucking Jehovah's Witness moment. I don't know why, but that's the only thing that's coming to mind where he's I'm not a star player. I'm going to be the support player. The Jehovah's Witness thing makes no connection. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I just wanted to say it.
He's walking around the doors.
I didn't know the appropriate description. I went with Jehovah's Witness. You just fucking sue me.
Mayonnaise.
But I am looking at Exile and I'm what happened?
I'm waiting for the score esports.
The fall of
video.
Exile.
The video, the fall of Exile. But
I'm you can't just go from hero to zero quite like this.
Honestly, it was just online CS. I think he was just.
But he was even good on LAN in 2021, wasn't he? He had good performances at that Stockholm major.
He was never good in CS2 though.
That's just weird, man. It's just
I think that's also the reason his play style is he wasn't really a swinger. He wasn't really a peaker. He was more of a punisher, and a passive.
Definitely not swinging.
Always.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to derail the whole thing again.
Yeah,
we do around here. Then feel free.
But yeah, derailing. We've got Railway as the coach. I mean, that's really it to talk about for BetBoom.
He is a play-by-play caster. Just word association for fuck's sake.
Even after a couple of Rakias, the hamster is still running. He's still going for it.
Just about taking over. But yeah, I think BetBoom just have so much potential skill to pug it out that they're gonna pop off.
Okay, so who are the two teams?
BetBoom and Heroic.
You're gonna go with BetBoom and Heroic.
Yeah, it's a Russian-speaking tournament. They're gonna feel right at home. They're both going through.
Heroic. I'm going Complexity Heroic.
Well, you have to do that.
I'm gonna give it to my skin case opening boys.
I'm going with the BetBoom and Heroic too. Why not? They play each other in the first game. That, I guess, usually that's how GSL works.
We don't have to worry about those things in this kind of
a lot of BO3s.
We're not that kind of a podcast, Yanko.
Exactly.
Yeah, but overall winner for the tournament.
We're not much of any kind of podcast, but we keep going.
I think for overall winner, I think it's Astralis, actually. I think they're gonna do it. I think FURIA Astralis final, and Astralis edge it out.
I'll say this: I hope it's Astralis that wins. I think it'll be Astralis. Yeah, Astralis FURIA looks like it should be the final. Heroic is a
dark horse.
Heroic is a dark horse. Yeah, I could take that.
Oh, No Faith in Pain, the semi-finalists from the major.
Nope, not much.
They beat FURIA in the quarterfinal, guys. Why won't they beat them again?
I know, that was so sad.
Because it's a studio event. Well, actually, there will be a small crowd.
We're going to the arena. We're going to the arena that the XL TV Awards are going to be in. So we get to check it out and see how it looks like.
Well, you want to put a prediction on who you think might win? Favorite to win?
FURIA.
FURIA? Cool. We've been going for 2 hours. We got dinner coming up.
Yeah,
let's rock and roll.
Let's peace out.
All right. Thanks for the hospitality to my brother.
Always.
Rock you.